Three, two, one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Broiler Chickens. Actually, Chris, give me a buck. Come on, Chris, give me a buck. Hey, that's not bad. Thank you, sir.
No
Back,
problem.
back. There's our Hollywood $1 million intro. Maybe if we get a sponsor, Brian maybe gets rid of the potty mouth, we could get a sponsor one of these days, and we'll do a big fancy Hollywood lead in. But until then, it's just the anyway. Got Chris at the helm, kicking ass. I don't know. Actually, let's see if I can show you guys. I don't know whether I can or not, but I'll give it the old college try. Right now, Vancouver looks like this. Boom, Snowmageddon. So, unfortunately, we don't get that much snow in Vancouver. This is looking outside my apartment window. Condo. Oh, beg your pardon. Got to use the fancy schmancy talk. So we don't really get snow that often in Vancouver. So it's more like we all freak out. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that drive here in Vancouver, they were never taught to drive in snowy conditions. So it's really dangerous driving on the roads here when weather is like that. So as a result, and I'm not even quite sure. Did that actually show on YouTube? I don't know. I was
Yep, we saw that.
something else. Did it actually show? I don't know.
It looked like a Snowmageddon. Yeah.
All right, cool. So because of that, I'm not going to do Liam this afternoon. Well, maybe have a video call later on this afternoon just to tell him I love him. But no big driving excursion today. And it doesn't really snow that often in Vancouver, so I don't really want to go out and spend $500 on snow tires. So it's not that big of a deal. I'll probably go out on Chris. Well, anyway, that's here nor there. Anyway, the point of the matter here is, wasn't too stressed about time here today, so I can talk for another 4 or 5 hours if you want. Yeah, there's Sean over there on YouTube. Oh, right on, man. We get more of the Beamish. I don't know whether you want more of the Beamish, but you're gonna get more of the Beamish. And of course, we had the World Cup, and congratulations to Argentina and Messi. Is that the big guy? Chris Messi,
I think it is. I'm not the most avid soccer watcher, but yes, I think it's Leo Messi. I know.
Yeah, soccer, football, the beautiful game. If you just call it the beautiful game, everybody knows what that is. So anyway, congratulations to Argentina, and pardon my French, but I've never really been a big fan of the French. The French are notorious for basically stealing our content and translating it into French, and then taking credit for all of the concepts and stuff that I've put together over the years. So a YouTuber, oh God, those guys drive me crazy. So if anything, it put a big smile on my face. Way to go, Argentina. I'm just going to leave it at that. Way to go, Argentina. And if you say merde, are you technically swearing on Google? That'd be interesting. I don't know how that works. Does Google only consider it a swear word if you happen to be swearing in the language that your account is registered in? I'm not quite sure. Okay, any thoughts, Chris?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm too aware of what the AI is programmed to recognize when it comes to these things. But that's a good question.
And for whatever it's worth, everybody at TRI has been encouraging Chris to become a little bit more active and vocal on the calls with me. And you might hear me actually even sort of reach out to Chris. Hey, what do you think, Chris? And stuff. So FYI, if we're really lucky, we'll be hearing more of Chris's input here as we do these videos. And also, too, I'm really excited. Actually, it's something that's actually inspired me, and I haven't been inspired by much lately. When you're going through crypto winter and, the Fed is on a relentless hiking path, schedule. There's an old adage in the market, don't fight the Fed. And if you're sitting here and you're saying, I want to learn how to trade and I want to learn how to be a good trader, well, there's one thing that you should have in front of you as you're sitting watching this video. And if you're watching for the first time, go to like your local grocery store or your local drugstore or something and just buy a little notepad. In fact, even better yet, talk about an awesome shilling opportunity. Go to TRI, and this will be perfect stocking stuffer. Where's the camera? There's the camera. Oh, it won't focus. Oh, there we go. Anyway, focus. Oh,
I can't see your face, so it's just
this is my log. I use this every single day. I'm constantly writing notes about what I'm seeing in the market and what I've got to do in my life and everything. My journal. So all of you should have this. And this is such a cool journal too, because it's got the Benner cycle right on there. So you can go, well, we're right here and it looks like it's a really crappy market state right now. So seeing what we're seeing out in the world shouldn't surprise us at all. But anyway, so you should all have your journals. And if you haven't heard this before, or if you are relatively new to this game, and you're just learning, you should be writing down, do not fight the Fed. And when the Fed is aggressively raising interest rates, and frankly speaking, of my 30 plus years doing this game, I have never seen a more violent Fed short-term interest rate period in my entire career. Usually when we say the Fed's like aggressive, they'll move at like a half a point. They've been going at like 3/4 of a point here and, consistently bang, 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 bang. And now they've just lightened up a little bit and they're at 50 basis point increase. Anyway, so the point of all that is you should never, ever, 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 ever expect some sort of big outperformance from like things like venture capital in the face of a rising short-term interest rate environment. It just never happens, right? And if you think about how venture capital works, technically venture capital is a roll of the dice. And you tell me, if somebody had rolled the dice with magic internet money, how did that go? If you had rolled the dice with lunatics, how did that go? If you had rolled the dice with Sam Bankman, I'm a silver spoon venture capitalist who thinks he understands how venture capital works, but really hasn't got a freaking clue, or really understands how it works and knew what a horrendous fraud these guys all just pulled. I mean, what baffles me is that this is to the tune of billions of dollars. Do you think that this guy, as smart as he is, didn't on one of those Bahamian islands go and maybe bury 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 million dollars worth of assets? And so I got to go spend 5, 10 years in jail, but I'll come out the other side, and I basically got the rest of my life made in the shade. And of course, once he does the jail time, you can charge a guy twice for this. And that's assuming that he even goes to jail. I mean, I was shocked when I saw that little bald Canadian guy, I think, too. Chris, isn't that O'Leary guy Canadian?
Kevin O'Leary. That I don't know. I don't follow him. I know that you don't like him very much, and that's pretty much the extent of what I know about him.
Yeah, well, and he went in front of the U.S. Senate and basically just threw everybody under the bus, excluding, for some reason, I have no idea. I think because he got paid like tens of millions of dollars by this joke of a fraud of a scam. So sad. And if anything, what a great analogy. You all learned why people have no faith in the system. They have no faith in government. They have no faith in our elected leaders doing the right thing. What you're seeing there in that whole space is it's a testament as to why this next generation and the kids don't like what our society has turned into. So, we could probably spend a couple hours just going on about all that, but frankly speaking, I'll just, in fact, actually, the best thing I did on the Twitter, and actually I was even surprised, but I've said to you guys on this show that if there was one guy in the space that I actually trust is a dangerous word. So I'm not going to use the word trust. But what I am going to say is if I was going to believe anybody in this space, I've been listening to Simon since basically the first day I've gotten involved in this space. I think he's a relatively sharpshooter. I think he got burned really badly, like TRI got punched in the teeth with Luna. So, it's just the way that it goes. Don't risk capital that you can't afford to lose. So that was ironically enough, the money that was invested in there, we actually got the original capital back out, but that was about it. Now we have a whole bunch of promises and we'll see how all that goes. But, and funny, my fun little 500 into hundreds of thousands of dollars account. I actually did really well on the Luna trade, but oh well, that's Brian's conservative trading. Buy something, sell half on doubles, triples, quadruples, get yourself a risk-free trade, and then if the whole story blows up, who cares? But anyway, point of the matter here is if there was going to be somebody that I would actually listen to in the space, and I even sort of retweeted out this guy's comment. I basically said that, as I said here, if there was someone in the space that I'd actually believe, I don't know whether trust, I don't know whether I'd go that far. Well, I think Simon's a pretty good guy. I think he gives a straight shot, but if I understand correctly, he got punched in the teeth with the Celsius. I would believe him way earlier, better. I don't even know what the proper term is versus this Kevin O'Leary guy, who, and I have actually gone into great detail about. There's a couple guys that I also respect in this space. They have a outfit called Hedge Eye, if I'm not mistaken, and they I don't articulate this stuff very well. I just say, look at that, Kevin O'Leary guy is not a very good business manager, and he actually has a very hard time making money from what he does in the space, the capitalist space. Like, he has a history of losing a lot of money. But I'll just leave it at that. And if you really want like an in-depth, this guy's he's not a crook, but he's definitely not very good at actually making money from investing. I would suggest listening to these guys. I really like this guy. This guy's pretty sharp, this Keith McCullough guy. And of course, this is one of the only guys on the street that actually was like, this FTX thing's a total fraud, eh? So anyway, the point of the matter is they go into how much Mr. O'Leary's a joke. Anyway, it is what it is. What I would just simply say is when you're going through, and this is where I started this whole rant like 10 minutes ago. When you're going through a Fed hiking cycle, you really shouldn't expect venture cap to do a hell of a lot. So you're sitting there, and we like to call it crypto winter. That's a pretty typical expression for bit crypto bear markets. And did I mention that it's a tad bit wintry out there right now? If anything, this is probably a really good analogy of making money in venture capital right now. Oh boy, that you better get your snowshoes. Anyway, okay, so where was I going with all that? The point of all this was I said that I was really excited because Chris and I are going to be doing a day trading opening range trade trading plan for the markets here in the futures markets, gold, oil, and the stock market. Actually, we spend a lot of time. My apologies to all the Portugal gang. Chris and I spent, geez, how long did we meet yesterday? It must have been about 3 or 4 hours, eh?
Yeah, I was about 2.5, 3 hours.
Yeah. In fact, is should we talk about high school friends or should we leave that topic?
Yeah, it's up to you. You know, I had some weekend
Anyway,
company. You know.
it got to the point where he's like, "Okay, Brian, we got to wrap this up. I got some business to take care of." And from what I understand, she was pretty cute. So there you go. No, I didn't. I didn't actually see her date. So I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I'm really excited about that. And if anything, I've been looking for a trading partner for a while. And the good part about it is I think Chris is born under a good sign. Uh-oh, now we're getting the blings. I must have said something wrong.
I think that's just level one finishing up. That's Sharky was pinging me a little earlier as well.
Okay, cool. All right. So if anything, everybody should understand if you're watching this video, I spend a bunch of time ranting and kind of wasting everybody's time. My apologies. The purpose of this show on the weekends is really it's sort of like an AMA. So by all means, if you are on the site, and I'll even, I think Chris actually, Chris put it in the lounge. If you're in level 1, 2, 3, if you're a site veteran, feel free to pop on and just fire your question onto our document. This document is supposed to help the level oneers specifically because it's just a mountain of questions that they usually ask. Doesn't even look like we have any questions this week. So if anything, if you're on the site and you're like, Brian, why are your altcoins doing so shitty right now? Well, I'll be more than happy to go through them. So feel free if you want to jump on this document. Doesn't look like there's really anybody even on the document. We might even not have any questions at all. So that's the purpose of today's conversation. I suppose you, if you wanted to, you could ask a question in the Google chat room there. I do have that open so I can see what you guys are talking about over there. Feed me Bamore, says Sean. So let's do this. Evening fam. Hey, David. Howdy all from Lee B. Hello, Richard. I'm testing out the day one journaling app. Okay, that's kind of cool. Feel free to share that, Richard, in the lounge. If it's a good resource, then maybe we'll promote using it on the site. Definitely anything to make us better. We have been working away building out this website, and this has been how we've sort of spent our developer cycle. From about 2018 right through. We're still developing, but it is coming along. I will say that. Our CTO, because remember, Brian's a cheap ass. So our CTO is up to his eyeballs in work. And unfortunately, when you build these kind of platforms, especially with the amount of data that Stuart is managing, it's always prone to little bugs perking into the system. I will say this, just an FYI, I noticed this, and I'd rather mention it rather than just ignore it and then have site people come and go, what the fuck's going on here? But if we look at the crypto universe or the crypto top 30, in sort of the platform reporting on a daily basis, I see things like from this perspective, database is updating. You can see last data was as of the 16th. And of course, it's not a very pretty picture, breaking to new lows in that particular one. I know, like see Bitcoin, 16th, so that's good. At least it's reporting most recent data. I think today is the 17th or 18th. Yeah. So I would imagine the engine's probably going to be updating yesterday's data here pretty soon. One thing I did notice, and I'm not quite sure, I think it just must be some crossed wires, but I've asked the tech department to help me just get this addressed sooner rather than later. But I did notice for any site members who are following the weekly commodity trend survey, Binance sort of had a funny little hiccup there a week or two ago where their API stopped working. Of course, interesting how Binance is under the gun right now. Did have a couple duplicates in this list, and I can see that the tech department did get rid of the duplicates. But now I noticed, and I'm just mentioning this because people who are subscribing to the site, I appreciate your earnest nature of all this. But I did notice that this spreadsheet, for some reason, it's still updating, like BNB coin. Obviously, this is not nearly as bullish. The price is not 307.50. So I noticed that for some reason, in our tech department, we just got to get our heads around it. It stopped updating the API on the 20th of November there. So this is actually missing a couple weeks data. So I just anybody who is on the site and is like, okay, Brian, like I paid for this, I would like this to be working. So understand, I do see the bug, and as soon as Stuart and I can address it, we will get on top of this ASAP. Now, the weird thing is that there are a lot of symbols in here, and how ironic, because I absolutely love Litecoin. But there are symbols like Litecoin here that their weekly data is as of last the 7th, wherever the hell that is. So that's actually as of there. So yeah, that's actually a little bit out of date too. So I just want to acknowledge any site members who are asking, just like, what's going on. Looks like the weekly commodity trend survey data is a little bit erroneous, and so I need to work on this. My apologies, everybody. What I did notice, though, which I suppose is encouraging, is that I think it's just something to do with that weekly commodity trend survey algo. Because like I said, I did notice that when you actually do mine the actual crypto names, they are updating. So like I said, if we look at BTC here versus USDT, that is updating as of the 16th. So anyway, just wanted to acknowledge that. And of course, if you're like, yeah, Brian, it's kind of pissing me off, right? Just bitch at me. It's a cheap bottle washer. I need to hear. I don't want you to just be quietly resentful. Just be with it. I suppose the good part about it, of course, is that the market is crap. I mean, you can see what the breadth market signal looks like. So it's not like we're missing some sort of massive bull market here. So if anything, we just keep working through this. So if I understand correctly, the information that our breadth models are giving is correct. I mean, this image is as bad as it is. And unfortunately, if you're a bull, we just got to get through this. So anyway, I just want to mention that. You can kind of see it. It's right across the board, eh? So obviously, CZ's under the gun right now. Be interesting to see from you guys, you all, guys and girls, whether you think that Binance is in trouble here or not. I don't know whether it's a function of it just being the weekend, or whether it's, like I said, there was Simon's comment. I mean, can you trust CZ? I don't know. It was interesting. There was a I don't know whether it was a convention or there was some sort of crypto sort of a convention, I think is the best word to use. And one of our site members, I think it was in Portugal actually, and one of our Portuguese site members who's very active in crypto, he actually went to the convention, and he even said CZ was very approachable. He's a very nice guy, sat and talked crypto, the whole thing. So I don't, I mean, there's obviously a big difference between whether you like a person and whether they're agreeable versus whether you can trust them. Definitely, I would strongly suggest you avoid this gentleman like the plague. Obviously, Mr. Freed has shot his wad. I think his trustworthiness has gone right out the window. Can we still trust CZ? He's got an interesting name, actually. I was really surprised. Somebody pronounced his full name, and I was like, wow, there's no way I'd be able to say that. So I can understand why everybody just calls him CZ. But anyway, I don't know. Like it was interesting, the CoffeeZilla guy, and I think the CoffeeZilla guy would be a really interesting interview if CoffeeZilla guy and CZ could sit down and have a tete-a-tete. CZ did go. Isn't that interesting? So the chat thing just got disabled. Do you see that, Chris?
No. Which chat? Are we talking YouTube?
On the YouTube page.
I see him
Chat
still
disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Unable to connect to chat. Please try again later.
Maybe try refreshing the page.
Interesting. Oh, look at that. It actually kicked me right out of the right out of the page. I don't know whether you guys noticed. There's some funny business going on with Google right now too, eh? So maybe you can leave some comments or something about your experiences with Google. I noticed that Google's doing some weird things here. Okay, welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy. Okay, well, it looks like it's back. Okay. Yeah, Hector makes a good point. SBF was nice also, and look what happened. One thing I noticed though is SBF, he wasn't really like what I noticed was when people sort of held his feet to his fire, he would say, well, I hear you, but I'm gonna do what I want to do. And for whatever it's worth, Hector, we wanted to start up a new that my sort of claim to fame that last because keep in mind I come from like a trading and investing background, not really a crypto background. My sort of claim to fame was I got involved in crypto in 2014 2015. I took like one Bitcoin or 1.25 Bitcoin at the time, and it was like $400 or something, and we ran it up to a few hundred grand. And even now, the portfolio, if like hell, this $100,000 number here, this is a trophy to me. So I actually took that 100,000 US dollars and I actually sent it to the bank. And that 100,000 US dollars is still sitting in the TRI corporate bank account. I haven't touched it. It's just collecting interest. But that's my trophy. So I guess the point here is that we were going to start up a new one of these challenges. I think I did put out a tweet to that effect a few months ago. And so we took like 10 G's and threw it on the Binance and said, we'll play with that. So it's funny because I was talking with Stuart and we're kind of like, well, maybe we should move that money off of there. So I might move it off, and I don't even know how. Stuart obviously will be a much better guide as to what we should do there. But if that 10,000 is poof gone, I don't think that's going to be the case, but who knows? If it is, then I suppose, we'll kiss it goodbye. It's not that big of a deal. Honestly, I can't really advise one way or the other as to what to do. All I would just simply say is we're in crypto winter. This is the venture capital space. So any kind of money that you put into venture capital, regardless, you should definitely consider risk capital. And if it goes under, then you got to understand that's the nature of the beast. At the same time, too, you catch the bull side of it, right? And Lambos for everyone. So always play from a position of strength. If anything, this is a great sales pitch. This is what you should be doing if you're brand new to this. Is you should not be going and throwing all your money at some crypto influencer or developer team on the premise that they know what they're doing, and you're just going to become like a mindless zombie of them. That's just asking for trouble. Why not learn how to run a small business of trading? It's not a bad sort of distraction while you're waiting for the crypto winter to finish. I find it so sad. A lot of people come into this space with like, 20 grand, 50 grand, 100 grand, and they will literally lose those kind of dollars. I asked them, maybe go spend like, I think our level one course is like $997 or some crazy number like that. We really should raise the price of that thing. But go spend a grand and just learn how to behave, learn how to run a small business of trading. And then you set the rules, right? And if you've got 20 grand to work with, you're not going to put 20 grand into a name. That's just stupidity. Maybe you put $1,000 into it. Maybe the $1,000, maybe the name goes 100x, and boom, you sell half on a double, get your original $1,000 back in your pocket, and the other rest goes to like 50 G's. And now all of a sudden, you're a baller in this space. And then just make damn sure to pay yourself on the way up. I mean, maybe you sell another half as doubles go, blah, blah, blah. Because this is venture capital. What goes up must come down. You know the story. And if anything, I thought this was so awesome. So this, our level 3 program is just finishing up now, and a lot of people they get really, really proud of themselves. And frankly speaking, I think it's worth it, because it's not an easy slog to get through all of TRI's 36 modules, pass the exams, and get your veteran tag. And frankly speaking, I think a TRI veteran tag is it's worth it. I think it's got some weight to it, because I noticed that I never hear from TRI veterans, never hear them talk about blowing themselves up. I never hear about them. In fact, really, if you play this game correctly, it's actually very difficult to lose money at this game. But most people can't play this game correctly. And will you be right 100% of the time when you take trades and setups? Absolutely not. Absolutely, unequivocally not. So just get that straight right from the get-go. But here's the kick in the pants, and this is the kind of stuff that our veterans all know, and of course, people that take the education program, they learn. If you force yourself that if you are correct, you're going to get paid $2 for your idea. However, if you are incorrect, you are going to lose $1. How often do you actually have to be quote unquote right just to be a scratch trader? Now, a scratch trader is a guy who doesn't really make money, doesn't really lose money, just comes and plays the game, and eventually I'll get better at my accuracy. But if you, and this is the most important thing about trading, and most of the public just never understands this, is you have to force yourself that when you are right, you get paid relative to when you are wrong. Man, I was surprised. Nobody on YouTube knows the answer to this. Chris, do you know the answer to this? You probably should. Anybody else in the hangout with us? I don't know if there's anybody else in here or not. Is it just you and me in here?
It is just you and I in here.
Oh, isn't that fascinating? Oh.
We had one other guest and then he left.
Oh, really? Enough of the Beamish rants. I've had enough of this nonsense. Anyway. Anybody on YouTube? All right, what do you think? If you get paid $2 and you lose $1, oh, you're over there now? All right. How often do you have to be right just to be a scratch trader? And the answer is 33% of the time. That's not even being right 50% of the time. No, Jimmy, not even half. You can be right only 33% of the time, but if you force yourself to get paid $2 versus losing $1, 2-to-1 risk rewards, and you only have to be right 33% of the time just to be break even. If you're right 50% of the time, half of the time, are you profitable? Actually, very much so. Very, very hard lesson for new people to trading to understand that. But that's sort of like the backbone of our education program. So didn't include the people's names. I like to block out the people's names and usernames and stuff on these tweets and stuff to protect their identity for whatever that's worth. But congratulations to you, sir. Way to go on passing the level 3 exam. You are now officially a TRI vet. And the good part about it is that I have full confidence as a veteran that you're not going to go and blow yourself up. And most probably you'll actually be a good person to sort of be an emissary of best behavior in the market. And that's ironically probably the biggest thing that I could possibly be for all of you is, in bull markets, woohoo, we're all making money. In bear markets, ironically enough, right, your number one job is just to survive, not get run over. And quite often what I do is I'll do things like day trading futures contracts while I'm waiting for the venture market to settle down. I suppose, taking a look at sort of big picture, where are we on all of these curves? You regular site members and even regular viewers of these YouTube videos. I really like this kind of thinking, and we have a show on. Is it just this one? Not quite sure why that's doubled up. Anyway, we have a show on Wednesdays with Paul and Ben. So that's just specifically crypto. And I still end up talking stocks and money and shit there. So anyway, point here is that, this is my version. We also, like I said, on that crypto show, Ben put together a really nice and clean image. And ironically enough, if you just follow this roadmap, it just keeps you out of so much trouble. And what's fascinating is I was even watching Chico Crypto. And I don't know whether you remember, but up top here, you heard Brian. Well, maybe he did, maybe he didn't. Maybe what I want to show you is, let's see. Could be this one. All the funny pictures. Let's see. There it is. Yeah. So I don't even know whether you guys remember, but a year or so ago, I was barking at you guys that this was disaster. It had trouble written all over it. And now, unfortunately, here we are down at the bottom. And actually, if you read these little write-ups, I think they're absolutely perfect to sort of describe the psychology of the market. The worst part about it is up top here, about a year ago, I couldn't stop you people from buying. Yeah, we do. What I use, TRI should have a membership for chat only. So that's what that is. What I use is we have our basic silver site membership, and that basically gives you access to the chat room. And I have to say, as chat rooms go, these guys are pros. Look at, there's David. David actually was the first winner of our contest for our education program. And if you guys could hit the like button, subscribe, ring Brian's bell, ding, 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 ding. Maybe ring Chris's bell too. Ring David's bell. Anyway, so we have a raffle every term. And actually, that's something that Chris, you and I should probably be working on. Is we should probably get going on a raffle, probably for like New Year's or something like that.
Yep.
We should have a raffle for a seat in the level 1 education program. What do you think, Chris? Is that something we can wrap our head around?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Anyway, so Chris was the very first, David was the very first raffle winner. About 4 or 5 years ago. And now David is an absolute boss. He's just such a boss. Interesting how he's hunting Ethereum here. a nice Adam, and then potential Eve set up here on the other side. Um, and this chat room, I mean, gee whiz, it's so solid. Even we're all just sort of trading away, doing our thing. Yeah, what I wanted to mention was Julian is really in the zone right now. It's cool to watch. Everybody goes through this. Everybody. You go through hot streaks, you go through cold streaks, some types of market states really work for your particular trading strategy. Obviously, in bear markets, things like buy and hold strategies don't really do that well. Duh. But that's half the issue with investing is can you buy when others are selling, and can you sell when others are buying? So to speak to your question, what I use, I wholeheartedly agree with you. Our veterans, basically I encourage the veterans to stick around because they know what they're doing. And it makes for, great site content. Of course, there's the Beamish posting away. I try to post on a fairly regular basis. In fact, actually, I've got a Bitcoin long setup working right now. Good old Brian. I'm one of those types of guys, and actually, I was really proud of myself the other day. The S&P 500 was down the Dow was down like 800 points on the day, and yet I actually made money being long the market. But that's the way that I am. I'm a nut job. But we also have, site members who are posting videos from, of course, the net, and there's Sharktoshi. Congratulations, Sharktoshi. Sharktoshi, man. Like I said, if you're going to buy stock and people or buy call options, I would definitely buy a call option on Sharktoshi. Just a brand new dad, so way to go, dad. Also, he's now graduated to instructor status, so he's a co-instructor of the level 2 program. So Joshua is so proud of this guy. So way to go, Josh. But our community, Steven is our sort of quarterback of our harmonics room. By all means, it's great to watch. Like harmonics is a topic that we cover in our level 3 program. So students that have gotten through the level 3 program, they get invited to this room, and you can see Steven, he loves his harmonics, just chit-chatting away with the crew. I don't really like to talk harmonics with people that are brand new to trading because harmonics is a bit challenging. But to speak to your point there, where'd he go? Where the hell is he? Geez, where did that guy go? There's Sharktoshi, all hugs and kisses. There you are. What I use, DRI should have a membership for chat only, so we do. And that is that's the basic site membership. And frankly speaking, this lounge, I mean, look at this. This is so cool. M Toshi. I know. My question was, this is a fun script that we're passing around. I think a TRI or put this together. I think his name's Martin, if I'm not mistaken. But is there some sort of threshold that when we get a certain amount of bold divergences, you just have to buy the damn thing? I don't know.
You know what? I've seen that too, and I've been wondering if the more bullish divs confirmed we see, if that's just a stronger signal overall.
18 bloody bull divs? Like, is that not indicator confirmation? That's crazy. Anyway, when I saw that, I was just like, wow, that's crazy. So anyway, these people get it. And that's the cool part about it, is that I'm not the last thing in the world, because frankly speaking, I know it won't work, is the last thing in the world you want is to go on a website and there's just this one guy sitting there going, do this, do that, do this, do that. You don't want to be in an environment like that, because that's just a potion for disaster. And half of the reason why I built this site is I wanted this community of educated. There's Paul, and ironically enough, Paul, and this is a great testament to the power of the level 1 course. Paul himself is just like, what? I've learned how to build and run a small business of trading with the level 1 program. I've learned a couple setups that really speak to me. And I'm just going to go trade those setups. And I know how to run a small business of trading. Thank you, Brian. So, I'm fine. And Paul's doing fantastically well. So anyway, and you can see he's very active in our community. So you're absolutely right, whoever said that. And I'm sorry I went off on a tangent here, but this chat room is absolute freaking gold. It's absolute gold. And for like 20 bucks a month or whatever the hell it is that we charge the base rate to participate here, at least this is going to keep you out of trouble, and when Bitcoin is up here, our community's like, you got to be idiots to buy up here. That's nuts. And sure enough, look what happens. Baboosh, doosh, 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 doosh. Now, ironically, we're down at reload zones, and we're actually at the bottom of reload zones. And kind of like what I said here, the irony of it all, I couldn't stop you people in the public from buying up here. I mean, what really bugs you is the guys that are really into the shill and they're selling tons of like subscriptions and all that kind of crap to newsletters and stuff. They need you to keep buying, right? And especially if they're part of the whole Ponzi, they get paid kickbacks for new projects and, ICOs and whatever the hell you want to call it, IDOs or whatever. They need you to keep buying. They need you, or else their whole business model falls apart. And the one good part about TRI is we go, don't buy up here. And, obviously Brian doesn't have a lot of followers and stuff. And, ironically enough, now we're at the bottom. The public who did buy up here, what do you think's their state right now? I mean, they're toast. And it's so sad, right? Because I wasn't able to get through to them. I think I told you the whole damn reason why I did this whole site, everything to begin with, was because my wife came to me after she passed away and said, Brian, you have a potential of making a positive difference in this world. Potential. She didn't say I was going to, but she said I had the potential. And I'll tell you, it's the construction of these chat sites. And now we have a community of people that are, how do you say this? They're responsible investors. Nobody's going to come on. You won't find at the top of the market people coming on and shilling you because nobody has any vested interest in you buying whatever they is. I don't care if you buy or sell anything that I buy or sell. I mean, it sucks if I buy something and my setup doesn't work and I get stopped out and I lose money. But if my setup works and I'm trading and I'm doing, following my plan, well, I should make all the money I need just from my own trading. I don't need your money. And I certainly don't need kickbacks that basically corrupt the way that you interact with the public. So I totally agree with you, Mr. What I use. And yes, we do have a basic site silver membership that covers just the basics of the site. Things like the chat room and, the basic overview page. I mean, the cool part about it is if you just came to this basic overview page, right? I think this is an awesome tool. I mean, this totally, if you are a crypto trader, this shit's next level. We got to clean up our act here. I'm a little disappointed that we're not reporting accurate data here. I think the signaling systems are starting to kick in again. You can see Sjord sort of flushed the system. And so now we're starting to get some interesting trade ideas coming out of the system here. It's a little bit of a hiccup with the weekly commodity trend survey. We'll deal with that. But just even, basic site membership, you'll have access to the breadth. And I mean, just look at that image. That one image right there, and this market started to go into divergence, right? That's where price on assets is actually heading higher, but the indicators are actually heading lower. This actually started to go into divergence there at the beginning of November. So you could make the argument that the whole stock market, everything was flashing major warning signs that, there's going to be trouble ahead. If we go and this is actually the day trading plan that Chris and I are working on. I'm so excited for this. This will be cool because then every day Chris and I can make a part of our we're gonna try and do like a, I don't know, 20-minute, 30 minute, somewhere in there, sort of like a free video for YouTube. Just, what's the news? What's the econs? What's the breadth, the overview page say? What was our opening range trade for the particular day? And then, we have like, David is sort of the quarterback of our secret options formula meetings on Tuesdays, which is sort of like a stock pickers club. So we'll have sort of the summary of his thoughts. That's this gentleman here. So we'll have that as a part of the said one day of the week. Then we have the crypto show on Wednesdays. Of course, you guys watch. So any ideas coming out of that show, we'll summarize. And then after we've done that 20-30 minute video, we tried to do that with Kevin before. We'll try again. But then after we do that 20-minute, 30-minute sort of overview, then we'll sort of, all right, anybody wants to stick around, we'll do like a half hour long rant session with Brian. Let's see what we can say to Brian to trigger him, to get him all upset and start spitting out swear words and stuff. So, is that what? No. What's that, Chris?
I said those are the best.
There you go. Is that what we're up to? It's $40 a month now. All right. So I'm not even in the loop. I know that to access the breadth information and to actually build your own screeners and the crypto breadth, this is an add-on. We call this the dashboard. And to get like Brian's signals, I think Josh showed you recently. I had the privilege of being taught this concept called a key reversal many years ago by VSC floor brokers. It's very difficult to actually find these, especially like weekly key reversals. Interesting how the Hong Kong market, somebody was asking about the Hong Kong market. When was that? Do you remember that, Chris? Was that? I think that was on our Wednesday show. Actually, I don't think you were. Did you
Doesn't sound
watch the
familiar.
Wednesday shows?
Those are a little late for me. I'm usually either finishing up dinner and showering and don't get a chance to catch those. So
anyway, somebody on the Wednesday show actually gave us like a super chat, and yeah, see, this is perfect. So we had an interesting conversation about Hong Kong. They had asked, what are you making out of Hong Kong? And I had mentioned that, well, gee whiz, 2 weeks ago, they put in an outside upside key reversal there. So you can see that the system picked that up. So that's cool to see. But I also said, too, that this was a trade. And don't be surprised when this exhausts itself. We'll probably roll back over and come back, fill in the gaps and all that kind of fun talk. But anyway, so the point here is that I learned this many, many years ago. And this is next level trading. I don't know if we still have it on the site, actually. That's a good, I don't know where that would be. But Josh and the whole team put together a page for the breadth sort of sales pitch, if you will, for the Black Friday event. And they put together a whole bunch of data points, and Josh put together, if I just took key reversal signals, how would I do? And it was crazy how many the symbols worked. It was just like, holy moly. So somebody says, could you go over some of the key reversal examples? Yeah, we can just go through these. It's not really rocket science. A key reversal now, it's interesting, weekly reversals versus daily reversals. Daily reversals are sort of like, how would you describe it? Short-term momentum pivots. Usually they happen because there's some sort of big news or some sort of earnings beat or something like that. And keep in mind too, it's super important that you follow the process. So you never really want to take a trade just based off of one reason. The question I would always have with something like this is, how does the key reversal signal fit within the broader spectrum of the market? So like here, for example, we're at the bottom end of the range. You can see there's a key reversal bar that came in, and it confirmed this double bottom breakout. So you have a number of reasons to justify your acting. Really, you might argue that it worked and, we're backing up. This is a property trust. Something like this, yes, the key reversal signal did work. It's just that I don't know whether I'd really like that as a trade location. I'd get kind of chicken taking that kind of trade. Sometimes these key reversals, you'll notice that the market will run up. So, and it's interesting, we were talking about these beer stocks a little while ago. I think, if anything, they're a good analogy of recession. I think a lot of people got the feeling the end of November there, beginning of December, that we were kind of moving out of recession, and then they just got reminded that, hey, we're going to be back into recession. So I wouldn't be surprised if those beer stocks start working again. Here's a pretty good example. The key reversal signal is just simply a trade one tick above the actual signals level, and the stop is below the bar. And so you can see in this particular case, just, can you just stay long and just let that idea work? Here's an example where the signal came in, so you get the message, hey, we got a potential key reversal here, but you notice we never did trade through that high. So there really was no trade idea. Sometimes they can be pretty darn violent. And again, what I would suggest and what I always suggest to people is notice, like this one, for example, this signal is, yes, a key reversal. It engulfed the two previous bars, but I think that this is a much better one because you're right down at the bottom end of the range. Your buy level actually is right there. So the problem with taking this trade is your buy level is way up there. I mean, do you want to take that much risk on the trade? That's something where I'd be like, I don't really want to take that trade. That's just too much risk. This one isn't bad. Also, too, we had massive reversal signals all come in at the end of October, beginning of November. We had a huge, in fact, we even had engulfing bars on things like the Dow futures and stuff. So yes, you get these messages, boom, okay, you got an Apache, you've got an outside upside key reversal. Do you really want to come in and actually buy that way up top there? Ooh, I don't know. If the key reversal had come in down here and it was a reload zone against the previous range, I'd be like, oh, sexy sex. I don't know whether I really like the idea of buying way up top at the top end of the range for these reversals. So the one good way, and keep in mind, these are the daily signals. So quite often what you often find is, the weekly signals often come in at a little bit better levels. So weekly bullish key reversals, as I said, that interesting how China just recently opened up. I don't know, I'm not quite sure what the heck Fjord is showing us there. The problem with this is, and I think this is a bug that just needs to be worked out, is I think this loaded up a daily chart, even though this is a weekly screen. So I'd probably have to look. Like I know for, well, not interesting how that loads up like that. But then if I go here, and then I go here, that did load the weekly chart. So interesting. I mean, I don't think I would really want to take that trade. I would prefer that engulfing bar, but that's not a key reversal. But anyway, it is a bullish sort of confirmation. And you might even, I think when we looked at this on Wednesday, we said this was an A, B, C, D. So it's painting somewhere up top here. How would you trade that? I mean, there's a number of different ways you could trade this. You could do a spread where you like buy maybe like the 22 call, write the 24 call. If you could get that for less than $1, that'll be worth $2 should the market move up to 24. So that's one way you could play that. You could like write a put option. So if the market just goes up, the put option expires worthless. So you just collect the money. You could just go outright and buy the at the money call. And if we just lose this key reversal candle body low, then you just walk away and book the loss. There are a number of different ways that you could trade that. This cotton was interesting. It caught my attention, but yeah. So you can see this is one that's still in play. It's kind of just bumping along sideways here. Looks like we need to get the system making sure to update. I see 12.4. That's a bit old now. That's like 2 weeks out of date. So if anything, sorry, I was writing a note to the team. Where was I? Okay, over here. I like that. If we can somehow get up top there. Now we did pop up through the top there. So, really, I would not have a problem being long cotton here, looking for that rally. You can see the trend line. We probably should get up into this area, and that's kind of that same ABCD. And you can also see there's a juicy gap up top there. Also, too, this is the time of year when we probably want to think about going long the grains following the fall harvest. It'd be interesting to see how that works. This is from back in the summer. Okay, so here's an example where one broke out, busted the low, and so I'd say, this trade idea is probably not working. FedEx. Now, yeah, see, some of these are pretty darn old. I'm not even quite sure how this played out. Let's see what happened. I think this got busted out. Well, so it started to work and then it M'd out. See you later. So, of course, following the summer, we had a bit of a dip there in the stock market. I think we saw some really cool ones in Canada. Let's see. So here's the Canadians. Let's see what we got here. I don't know whether these are going to update though. There's a pretty key reversal. So big outside upside, you got double bottoms. We're down at the bottom end of the range. So I really like that signal. That one actually looks pretty. So you can see also too, we're coming into sort of a seasonally friendly window for the gold market. So that makes sense as well from that perspective. So there's not a bad example of a key reversal, weekly key reversal working nicely. Bosch Healthcare. I don't know who these guys are. Oh, nice. Nice simple signal. So outside upside, we're at the bottom end of the range. Are we breaking trend lines? Maybe. So, do you just take that signal there? We're just long and just treading water. There's the actual engulfing bar itself. And actually, this is a great sign when you see the market come back down and test that level. Clearly, this is a massive battle zone right in here. So market comes down and tests that level and it just, nope, I do not want to be down there. Get your butt back up. So that's not a bad example. Uranium, interesting. The end of the summer, uranium key reversals came in. Let's see how they did. Just sort of treading water. It did break out through the top. We've come back down. I haven't broken down per se yet, just sort of flirting. And really, you could argue if this double bottom confirms, then we'll probably take off away from there. But you can see if the energy market starts weakening appreciably and the uranium space weakens, then this key reversal signal will be busted out. And TFI International, let's see what these guys do. Actually, there's a good example, and really I wouldn't want to take this trade up at the top end of the range, but there's a good example where the key reversal signal never did fire. So it set itself up, but then the market melted away from that level. Anyway, so it gives you that, we'll call that, and maybe once a week on these weekly shows, especially with class out, maybe we'll take a look at one particular screener and we'll call this the key reversal screener week. There's a nice one. There's Australia. There's a nice outside upside weekly key reversal, and you can see how that's working nicely. there. That's also at the bottom end of the range. I like that. Be interesting to see if there's any indicator confirmation to support that idea. So that was Australia. Orica Limited. No idea who they are. Polynovo. And probably, you know what I noticed, if Hong Kong's coming back, China seems to be catching a bit of a bid. You can see Australia. There's another one, Polynovo, Australia stock. You can see the double bottom right there. Pretty. That's a nice little Joby gap and go setup. In fact, actually, I wouldn't mind if we could even. Stuart and I were supposed to. Stuart and I were going to put the Linda Bradford Radke. Oh darn. Linda Bradford Radke setup. Not this crap again. And half of the reason why we're kind of stalled here right now with all this stuff is there was this guy that actually came on our site, and he literally tried to take over the whole company back in like 2018. And he actually suggested that we use this chat server called Rocket Chat. And this thing has just been one headache after another for like literally the past, what is it? It's 2023 we're heading into. So like 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5 years. And the team wants to move away from this platform. I can't even get the damn chart to post there. Nope, just won't work. Damn it, I hate that. So they're probably going to be spending the first quarter of this coming year just trying to get us off of this Rocket Chat. Such a nightmare. And I do understand, a lot of people have been sort of like, Brian, I'd love to come and participate at TRI, but that chat server you use is just a piece of garbage. So big sort of plan for TRI the first quarter of the new year. Maybe it's probably best that we do this through the crypto winter. Let's get the heck off of this damn Rocket Chat garbage. I think it's Discord that the team wants to move to. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people are like, well, that one's no better. So anyway. No, I just can't post that. What an irritant. Yeah, so I just sit here and I waste everybody's time. It just will not post. So frustrating. And if I hit refresh on this, the whole chart is going to crash. So I'll hit refresh and it just crashed. And now there's nothing I can do. Yeah, wonderful. So maybe in 10 minutes that'll come back, but I wouldn't mind putting this somewhere so that I'll go paint. I'll go paste, and so then when the darn thing comes back, then I can post it. Anyway. Yeah, so you guys like that Discord? Yeah. I'm not going to really go into too much detail about how you identify and key reversals. I've been accused, and rightly so, of giving just too much to you people for free. So unfortunately, what ends up happening is I get a lot of people that like literally go, Brian, okay, can you tell me exactly how this setup works? Okay. And then, like kind of earlier, remember I was, stupid frogs. I've seen a few frogs actually literally come on the site, steal concepts, for lack of a better word. I mean, nobody in crypto knows what the fuck, the heavily modified Williams percentage R indicator is to create the Willy indicator. And then go over to their French, because they know I don't speak French, and go over there and just shill it as their own. So I don't really want to go in, Richard, no offense. I don't really want to go in. I mean, if you want to take the level 1 course, fine. We'll teach you specifically in the level 1 program how you identify all these, but I'm not going to really go into detail. Oh, Richard, do this. Oh, do this, because then I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot. And Julian has repeatedly told me this, Brian, it's not really, you're not really doing yourself any favors. So, okay, I think, isn't that interesting? So 10 minutes later, the Rocket Chat thing actually reloaded. And I don't even think I posted the right thing in there. What the heck is that? Can we work on this gap and go set up? No, that was a different thing. Anyway, at least we got it there. So Stuart and I can maybe work away on that. But part of that basic site membership is we have a very generic screeners. The Da Vinci, he actually created a screener while he was on the site, and actually I think it works really, really well. I'm not quite sure why he kind of moved away from it, but it's solid and we have it on here. Golden Cross is pretty straightforward. This is just a moving average relationship. So I want to add the Linda Bradford Radke Holy Grail setup. It's, again, very straightforward. It's just ADX and a 20 period EMA. And I'd like to add that gap and go that I just showed you there. This is actually a really cool setup. I don't know whether you guys are aware of this. We teach it in our level 1 program, that this candle right here, it's a doji. And then this candle here, you notice the next candle, it gaps higher. These two candles themselves are actually a very powerful trading system. And I even saw, I couldn't believe it, on YouTube the other day. Now they have guys that are like, this trading setup is just awesome. Come and see us. And we got 88,000 views of our videos. And God, there's so many setups. I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, this particular 2-bar candle pattern, all you YouTuber shillers, pay attention. This 2-bar candle pattern was actually, I can't remember the guy's name though. Isn't that interesting? Slipped my mind. Anyway, he won the World Series of Trading Championship like 2 years in a row, maybe even 3 years in a row. Like literally every single year he comes back and he wins the competition, just trading this 2-bar setup, right? And actually there was a gentleman who was a longtime veteran site member on the site who sadly passed away. Think about you lots, Joby. And we even named this setup because he really liked it, the Joby Gap. Anyway, Doji Gap setup, that right there. And so if I was going to be talking with Stuart about adding a couple sort of setups to the basic site membership, this screener sort of default page, I'd add the Linda Bradford Radke Holy Grail setup. I think that's a good public one, and kudos to LBR, and that Joby Gap setup in there. Just try and remember that I've been at this game a very, very long time. These are setups, and they're still sort of need polishing. We're still building out this screening system, but these are. This would be like sort of my L Tangonator kind of setup, the weekly bullish 52-week range. Just want to find assets that are at the bottom of their range, and then it bounces to 50% levels. Can produce half decent trade ideas. And it shouldn't surprise us that a lot of technology looks like this right now. So I just want the system to show me assets that are very, very far away from their 52-week highs and 52-week lows. If I'm bullish, right, I want them very far away from basically the 50% level. And my hunch is this Adobe probably going to trade back up into all of these highs and that high there. And if we did a fib from that low back up to that high, 50% is probably right up against that volume node. So this screener here works really well to identify assets, and you can see them. What a surprise, a whole bunch of tech stocks. I mean, you guys see what crypto's doing right now. You should look at all these and go, gee whiz, is this, ironically enough, this is the only business when stuff goes on sale, nobody wants to buy. If I start getting W price patterns down in here, I'm definitely going to be interested in buying. So, simple momentum push. Interesting how Adobe comes up also as a momentum play. And this is just simply, do I see rising volume and rising, rising volume and rising RSI, like a momentum indicator. It's interesting how it's just spitting up the candlesticks though. So yeah, you can still see. Still got some stuff to clean up here. Anyway, so the point of the matter here is this list right here gives me a great sort of short-term what is being pushed in the market. I like to refer to this on a daily basis, get an idea of who's catching a bid. So, and then, the weekly commodity trend survey is based off this 13 EMA, 30 SMA cross. So I definitely like to follow that. And then, of course, like I told you, the key reversals, well, they speak for themselves. And then on this particular page, Brian signals, I cover the US market, the Canadian market, the European market, the Australian market, and crypto. So you see there's a whole bunch of crypto names here as well. Let's just see what names have momentum behind them right now in crypto, which should be an interesting conversation. Trex, is that Tron? Is that what that is? I don't know. XVG, is that Verge? I think that is. I think I bought him at 2 sats a million years ago. You can see the double bottom, and then there's a bull flag here, so it kind of makes sense. Beta BNB, no idea what that is. Interesting little pivot there. Wow, Rads. Oh, isn't that interesting? We had an old site member who we hadn't seen on the site in a long time all of a sudden turn up the other day. And he was a big sort of advocate for Rads. So interesting how he showed up there last week, and then all of a sudden this thing pops up here. Fascinating. So I'm not quite sure what the story is. It might just purely be pump and dump, typical crypto. And of course, like through the crypto winter, I don't know whether we're going to get a lot of really powerful bullish signals here. Ironically enough, we probably would be better served going and looking at the bearish momentum. Let's see what we got here. We might get some really pretty bearish breakdowns. Yeah, there you go. Eh? So there's a nice bearish bot. Another bearish bot. Geez, look at all these ABCDs. So lots of momentum pushes. And of course, as I said there earlier, Julian has been advocating short. Ooh, pretty breakdown on this comp versus BTC. Comp versus USD. Ooh, look at that pretty. In fact, actually, that does look like a very well-defined bot. Another one on this comp. So he doesn't look very happy. Anyway, obviously in bull markets, we'll get lots of W's, and bear markets get lots of M's. Ooh, that's a nasty one. Hot versus USDT. I don't know who would trade these, but nonetheless. So, yeah. All right. So I don't know whether that's a shill for the site, but long and short of it here is you do see what this breadth indicator looks like. I mean, it's interesting. Here we are now. If anything, you can see in the short term, we're starting to get washed out. What I actually like, and call me crazy, is I actually like the idea of a Santa Claus rally here. I don't know whether it comes on Bitcoin and crypto, because keep in mind, crypto, man, is it ever in the doghouse right now? And it should be, right? I actually have this long setup working in Bitcoin right now. So, Brian's a big fan of W's. And when you get the market to absolutely melt down here, right? I don't mind the idea of looking for things like 50% bounces. And actually that produces a pretty handsome trade. 2-to-1 risk reward is just to there. This one shooting for that 50% roll, and I'll move my stop to scratch at 2-to-1. I might even let a little of this go if the trade idea works. But my ultimate objective would be in here. What I like to do is I really like to have 3 chunks of an asset trading. So in this particular case, it's just 0.1 BTC. It's like $1,600. And it's not a lot of money. But I'll break that into like 600, sort of 550 chunks. And I'll say I'll let one of the chunks, one of the thirds go at 2-to-1. I'll then let another one of the chunks go. I'll let another one of the chunks go. Just bear with me here. I get this one. There we go. And that one, that setup is 4-to-1 risk reward. So 4-to-1 risk reward. Remember I said, how often do you have to be right to be a scratch trader if you just shoot for these 2-to-1 risk rewards? Here I'm shooting for 4-to-1 risk reward. I hope you realize if this, and this is just a 50% bounce. This isn't rocket science here. This is actually pretty normal for markets. WD GAN 101. How often do you have to be right if you are shooting for 4-to-1 risk rewards? I mean, the numbers, they're actually staggering. I mean, you only have to be right like 1/8 of the time or something. So I'll let the second tranche, if you will, go at that 50% level. And then that final tranche, what I really want to do is I want to just try and use market structure to try and keep me in the trade as long as possible. And one risk management strategy that I use if I have trades on is what's called the 3 high-low method, where if you think about, like, if I, let's see, how do I describe this? If I'm going to trade a bot setup, right, what I'm really saying is, and I don't know whether this is the best place to show you or not, but what the hell. What I'm really, where's the little arrow thing? There we are. What I'm really saying with the bot is, and I'll just, do it sort of here. What I'm saying is there's a big down move and maybe there's a big up move and then you get a consolidation. And what I really want to see is I want to see 3 higher lows, because each of these lows represents a point where the selling was overwhelmed by the buying. Either the sellers ran out of steam here and the buyers stepped up and took over, or maybe the sellers just stopped selling and there just weren't any more sellers around. And you get like a vacuum. And in that case, if there just aren't any sellers, well, path of least resistance, there's even just one buyer, you might find that the market just snaps back up. So if I can see that kind of situation where it's happened repeatedly, once and then twice and then 3 times, what that's telling me is, gee whiz, there's somebody who either when we get down into this area, they really want to buy. Or, when we get down into this area, the sellers just disappear. That's where I want to place my bets. That's where I want to take my chance. So I call this basically the 3 high low, because it can work both ways, method of managing risk. Is maybe I'll buy this W right here. All right, I bought that W. Boom, Brian's in. and I'll even just do something like a buy on stop. It just basically says that if we go through this high here, boom, I'm long. And I'm going to look back and I want to see 3 higher lows that there's some sort of institutional guy here that turned the market. Because remember, us small people, we can't really turn the market very well. So this is probably some bigger fat cat. And then, price came back down into this level. And the guy's like, what the heck are you doing down here? Get out of here. Right? And then again, it happens. And he's like, I said, get the hell out of here. So if you have 3 of these times, I mean, this is just, it's like a secret weapon for trying to identify where to take risk. Is I want to see multiple levels where somebody just said, no more go down, you go up. Let's do it like that, and then like that, and then like that, and like that. So you can see what I'm talking about. All right. And working my stop. Now, like I said, I'll buy here, and Brian will risk to say here. Or I will buy on stop, and I will risk to a break. And it's not really like I'm saying, well, I think that below this level, there's no value in this name, or there's going to be some sort of run on the bank kind of idea. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is, look, some other market participant said that they didn't want to see this market go below these levels. So I'm going to let that guy, whoever that fat cat is, I'm going to let him defend his trade. And if we do go down through all of his levels, then clearly whoever this fat cat guy was that put this bottom in, he obviously isn't that fat, and he's not much of a cat. No, whatever. And I'm just going to say, you know what? I think I probably just better get the hell out of here. There are a number of names in crypto that I did buy that are kind of like that right now. So like this sushi, for example, 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, 4 lows. I went and bought this breakout here, and I'm like, I'll risk against these lows. Of course, this has everything to do with Binance and CZ and all that kind of fun stuff. And if anything, we teach in the education program the different type of risk takers in the marketplace. So there is the little old lady that's basically going to risk to 0. This is all of her capital. If I'm going to risk to a break of this low and I bought here, well, then really what I am is I'm a Joe 6-pack, where a Joe 6-pack cannot break 50% risk on whatever trade he takes. So usually Joe 6-pack, my clients is in the stock brokerage business. Maybe they have like 50 grand with me. So we take 5 grand, which is 10% of the account, and we go and buy like 5 or 6 different names, right? And then that way, you've got like 30 G's in the market. Did I do that math right? 50 grand account. Let's put 5 grand into each name. So that means he could have a total of 10 names. He's got maybe 5 or 6 names on at any one given point in time. So he's got about 30 G's of that money invested in the market, 20 G's sitting in cash, just in case there's another name that comes along that he'd like to buy. And if that investment of $5,000 goes down by 50%, or 5% of that entire $50,000 account, then we just say, look, we were wrong. We just got to get out. So that's the approach that I've taken on this sushi trade. And you can see my resolve is being tested. I have my alarms, and if this level is broken, then I will walk away. And it's just a trader's life. It sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't like to lose money, but it is just a trader's life. That was interesting. I don't know whether you can see this or not, but we actually teach this in the education program, kind of like, key reversals. This is actually a potential reversal pattern right here. This is what's called an inside bar. And ironically enough, actually, this gives you a buy signal if we actually trade up through this high here. And as I sort of said, you could place a buy on stop order there. So that is $1.02. Really, I don't have a problem if you said buy on stop at 10.03. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? We said that's 1025. So we'll give it a little bit of wiggle room so it can get up through that level. And I'm just going to buy the inside bar reversal. Some people like inside bars. Other people absolutely swear by them. Other people hate them like the plague. And really, half of your job as a trader and as a potential investor, so you got to, my job, because I've been playing this game for so long, is just to simply show you, like, I don't know whether you've ever seen before, but a formal dinner setting. I don't know, actually, it'd be interesting to see what comes up here. Yeah. I mean, look how many different forks and knives. And I mean, look how many we got. Salt and pepper shaker actually supposed to be at specific spots. Butter knife, bread plate, salad fork, dinner fork. And this isn't even much, right? I mean, there's shrimp forks. There's caviar spoons. I mean, it goes on and on and on. This actually isn't even that formal. Yeah, here, for example, like there's their fish fork and all that. I mean, my job is just to simply show you all the different things on this setting. Look at this one. Look how many different knives there are here, right? So here's a good example, right? How many different cups do you need? I mean, I drink out of the fishbowl, so I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Anyway, my job is to just simply, okay, you use the dinner fork for eating steak, right? You use the salad fork for lettuce and whatever. You use the dessert spoon for this. You do so, like, my job, because I've been playing this game forever, there's very few things that anybody can tell me that I haven't seen before. So this, I showed you Joby Gap earlier. There's a great example. That's one type of dinner fork. Well, the inside bar, this is another type of dinner fork. So my job is to just simply show you the different utensils that you can use to run your small business of trading. Your job as a student is to actually figure out which one of these, and there is a bazillion different types of tools that we can use. Your job is to figure out what combination of tools you like to use to frame your behavior. The one thing I will suggest to all of you, and it's sort of our core tenet of our education program, is ultimately you really want to have 3 unrelated reasons for taking a trade. You really should. I mean, obviously, some guys like, well, I just trade inside bars and I take every single one, and I'm just going to buy the inside bar because I love them so much, and I'm going to risk to the bottom of the trade. Well, remember I showed you like that key reversal kind of trade. I don't really like to take trades at poor trade location. But, if I was just going to be like I trade inside bars, well, boom, there's your inside bar. The interesting thing is 88.6, there's 78.6, there's Brian's green boxes. So interestingly enough, this comes in down at this level. Remember I had said, really ideally we want to have 3 reasons to justify our acting in the marketplace. Who can tell me what Brian's reason number 1 should be on every single trade? And I told you about this earlier.
I think you actually got a response here in the local room faster than there on
Oh,
YouTube.
is there anybody in here? I didn't know there was anybody in here. Oh,
Got a couple more people.
Crowbar, isn't that
TBG? Yep.
Yeah, Crowbar. You're always, you got cool names. Crowbar. Hey, nice to see you, bud. Nick, location, of course, and really the when I ask these kind of questions, if we had like TRIOGs and stuff on the site that were, because Nick's been around a while. You've been around here for a while, haven't you, sir? I think that this is sorry, just typing a message. For whatever it's worth, TRI CTO said, yes, Brian, I see that we have a couple things we need to work on, but I am extremely swamped right now. And as I said about that Rocket Chat garbage chat server we have to get off, he's got his hands full right now. So we will get to that. And thank you, Stuart. I appreciate you just at least acknowledging that we still got some work to do. Anyway, what I really, when I asked that question, really, I was asking the YouTube audience. Interesting how we have a pretty light audience today, only about 40 people here today. So point here is reason number one, I think, should always, always, always be location. You know, they say in real estate, what are the three words in real estate? Well, they are location, location, location. Reason number two, let's say, and so, you know, and this is an interesting one. We'll go down to reason number three. Reason number three, I think once you have location down, it's a good place to take a shot, and you have reason number two in there, then I think you can move on to reason number three, which is price structure. And kind of like what I was talking about, the three high-low method to try and trail stops. Hopefully you can all see this is a W. So this is what I mean by price structure, market structure. Is if you force yourself to buy W's, in fact, I like W's within W's, right? Triple bottoms. Then really what you're saying is there's a war going on here in price. And actually, you know, the Bitcoin chart right now is perfect right here. And I've been posting this in the lounge through the whole weekend. Is you can see that this is basically, this is the top end of the range. This is the bottom end of the range, right? And notice we had this big W, so that's bullish above here. Then we had an M come in here shortly right after the W came in, so that's bearish, right? Bearish structure. Then we went and W'd again, that's bullish structure. Then we went and M'd, and then an M within an M, so that's bearish structure. So you can see, like I've labeled this is a massive war zone. Now, kind of like that three high-low method, can you see? Let's see if I can do this. That's interesting. Where's that coming from? Somebody's got a party going on. So Chris is kind of like, Jesus, this guy's long-winded. I'm going to play some music while he's blabbing away. Oh, those are your neighbors. Oh, we love them. Say hi. You know, there was some clown. I couldn't believe it this morning. At like 5 o'clock in the morning, the guy was sitting there singing at like the top of his voice. And I go, shut the fuck up. I couldn't believe it. I mean, like, I know it's bad, but at least we do our videos like after 9 o'clock in the morning, right? But like 5 o'clock in the morning, I was like, what the hell is your problem? Anyway, okay, so back to our story. So remember we said the three high-low method, right? So one low, two lows, three lows. So can you see how this has those, come on you, this has those three higher lows that I was just referring to. And isn't that interesting how it's right through this war zone? Clearly, there is a massive battle going on here between the bulls and the bears right now. And frankly speaking, I think that this is a psychological battle with what the hell's going to happen with CZ. I mean, is this run on Binance for real? And is he going to go down just like the rest of these poor old crypto kids here? And make no mistake about it. Goldman Sachs wants to be the stable coin provider in this space. So if they need to, I'm just making sure these numbers are right. So it's 764, 760, yeah, 764, right? So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Holy crap, what a trend line. Notice, look at this cute, like I have a rule that we're not really supposed to take a trade until we see a W on the other side of the trend line. You know, if we were going to do a short video for that YouTube, TikTok stuff, that's a perfect one. So notice how we had this powerful downtrend line. You know, the noobs will come in and they'll buy this. Hey, we're breaking out of the trend line. No, you're not. Ouch. Ooh, that hurt. All right, now I'm going to buy this. Hey, we're breaking out of the trend line. No, you're not. And the worst part about this is what ends up happening is sometimes the market will actually walk its way down the trend line on the other side of the trend line, which just drives you crazy. So no, we're not. And then notice breaking out of the trend line. Can I please have a W? And notice what just happened here. Can you see this? Down, up, down, breakout. That, my friends, is actually a pretty damn good buy signal right there. I mean, you know, this is JoJo. This is Brian. Just go and try and make a positive difference in this world. There's not a hell of a lot I can do because I'm a dumb fuck, right? I mean, my poor fucking wife couldn't even keep her on the straight and narrow. I think I mean, keep in mind I was a stockbroker and I've actually been thinking about just going and renewing my license and just going about and hanging out with. We're not quite ready to that. The end of 2023 will be the time to start renewing your stockbroker licenses again. But we've got this wonderful website, so I don't know whether I really want to walk away from that. But anyway, point here is, if it's one thing I know, I know these simple concepts that will keep you out of a lot of trouble. I mean, take a screenshot of that. Right there, folks. That is what you are here to try and learn. I mean, I can't stress that enough. In fact, I mean, seriously, I'm going to copy that image and throw it even into the YouTube page. If you have your journals out, if you are really serious about trying to learn how to get better at this, that's it right there. Journal that shit, man. I've even given you the image. It's right there. And what's so funny is you go on YouTube and all the little kids and stuff who are trying to sort of teach you, hey, look at me, I'm an awesome trader, subscribe to my channel and all that kind of stuff. I don't see anybody who teaches this, and yet that's it right there. Anyway, so there's your W on the other side of the trend line. Wicked signal. I mean, geez, and I mean the proof of the pudding's in the eating. Look what happened. I mean, Chris, can you see this? I don't know.
Oh, I see it. It's clear as day. It's a powerful signal right there.
Yeah, and can you ask them what song they're playing? We should download the song and we should like have it synced with their song. That would be cool, eh?
It's some sort of Dominican mix. I'll ask. I'll say the rational investor wants to know.
Yeah. Anyway, so here is a really, really good example of that exact same image I just talked to you about right there. The 3 high-low method, right? Higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low, higher, low. Clearly, somebody does not want this thing to go down below there. And after a while, what ends up happening in the market is somebody is a bear, and they're pushing it down, you know, the whole CZ FUD and all that. And what I was saying there earlier, and I didn't finish the sentence because I was so overwhelmed by how pretty this chart was. But make no mistake about it. Like, we're talking like, you know, billions, if not trillions of dollars are on the line here. Would a firm like Goldman Sachs actually put together a fund and say, we are officially going to destroy these crypto kids' lives fund. We're not going to talk about it publicly. All of the partners at Goldman Sachs are going to throw in maybe, I don't know, 10 million bucks each. And they got probably 100, 200 partners. The fund is probably like a $500 billion, something like that. And the fund's job is to do nothing more than destroy each and every one of these kids that thinks that they are the next stable coin. I mean, you saw what happened to that Luna and that Do Kwon guy. I mean, he for some reason thought he was actually bigger than the system. He thought he was bigger than Goldman Sachs. You got to be kidding me. So one by one, and it's interesting, they're not doing it all at the same time. They're just picking these people off one at a time, one after the next, after the next, after the next. So would Goldman Sachs go and spend $1 billion to try and secure that Goldman Sachs's stable coin is the only stable coin that survives? Hint, hint, hint. Better be careful on that tether thing. Seems logical to me. It's ruthless, unregulated, unethical. And if it's one thing Goldman Sachs is definitely not guilty of, is being ethical. Remember, these are the guys that sat there in 2006 and 2007 and underwrote these massive bonds that really, you want to know why your life sucks right now and why, the best way to look at this is, this image. Why is all of our standard of livings collapsing? Why is all of our standard of living, why are, this problem with inflation? Ironically enough, you can see the last major time we had big problem with inflation was the 1970s. I might make the argument that basically we're in the same environment now, but you notice 1970s, that was sort of in here. The slope of the curve started to get actually a little bit out of control. And actually, if we change this to a log chart, you'll see a little better, right? Why do we have that inflationary problem? Well, you can see the growth rate of the money supply. Ironically enough, that didn't really change a hell of a lot. I mean, there's your 1970s inflation problem. And you can see that it was getting worse and worse and worse. 1980s, they tried to get control of it to a certain degree, so a little bit flatter growth rate. And then, of course, we had to get through that fear cycle with all the baby boomers leaving the economy. Ironically enough, this is actually when the M2 money supply should have contracted. And we should have gone through deflation, but because we're run by the banksters, go watch the Money Masters video if you want to learn about that. We're in this inflation world. The economy must grow, money supply must grow because the banksters must make profits. Then we notice that this is where are we here? 2020. This is our sickness world. And this was, shouldn't we debate mortgaging our kids' future? Shut the fuck up. Give them the money, right? And of course, all the Wall Street firms, everybody gets bailed out, and the money supply growth goes absolutely insane. They're trying, hopefully. I doubt they're going to pull it off, but hopefully they can try and bring this back to this trend line growth. And we'll get back to just sort of normal inflation. Keep in mind, inflation doesn't naturally have to happen. The only reason why this is happening is because the banksters run our society, and they just keep printing more and more money. And the socialist left-leaning governments that placate the public by making promises of free this, free that. In my country, it's pathetic. Free healthcare. Well, not really. I can't even get to a doctor now. Yes, oh, it's free, but good luck in finding a doctor, Brian. Jerks. The banksters, of course, use this, and they take advantage of the democratically elected politicians. And the worst part about it is, there was a politician in the United States right here that tried to come in and say, you know what, enough of this nonsense. Let's have a little bit of fiscal responsibility. And mysteriously, somebody took a poke at him. And once they took a poke at him, his story completely changed. And then he became one of the worst deficit sort of sponsorers of our modern day society. And he basically justified now, I mean, this is pathetic what's happened to our society. These governments, they're not even really spending taxpayers' money. They're spending money that they just print out of thin air constantly. I mean, there was one time right here, it was kind of laughable, 1/4 right here, where the US government actually ran a budget surplus. 1/4 in this entire time period, 1/4 that the US government did not spend more money than they brought in taxes. I mean, what a fraud of a society. So you wonder why we have the hyperinflation. You wonder why we have rising prices. And of course, the poor get absolutely screwed over this. Well, it's all because of, the Goldman Sachses of the world, that all through this period here, they were just selling bonds to the public, that they were actually taking short bets on those bonds the day that they actually underwrote the bonds. That is, I mean, talk about unethical. That's a massive conflict of interest. And of course, their solution is this. You can see there is the beginning of quantitative easing, where in essence, all they did was take all those bad bonds, put them over on this side fund, and it's like they all pretend nothing happened. And of course, not a single one of those cocksuckers goes to jail. And yet it's basically criminal what they did. So that's the backdrop that you are dealing with when you are playing in this space of cryptocurrencies. Now, you have to understand that. That O'Leary guy, he's just business as usual. That's a typical Wall Street crooks. Sad. I know. And, really the simplest solution to all of this, the simplest, if you are a believer in Bitcoin, is just try and remember this: not your keys, not your coins. So if you are a believer in Bitcoin and you're a believer in decentralization, you're a believer in the algorithmic nature of this, and frankly speaking, I mean, you tell me, does that look like that's ending anytime soon? If anything, what we have to hope for, and this is where the Fed, these banksters are sitting there laughing at us, because now they actually have the public going, oh no, don't raise interest rates anymore. Don't end the party. We want the party to go on. And so they're going to go, okay, fine. Well, we're doing what you asked, and you're a democratically elected society. So turn those printers back on. Oh, God. I mean, like my country, what just makes you just sick to your stomach? And there doesn't seem to be anything anybody can do about it, which is so tragic, is my country. There never was a great financial crisis. Canada never had a housing market collapse. And why on earth is Canada doing this? And the worst part about it is, at least the Americans, right, the Fed, they're trying to slow things down. But in Canada, you can see there's no slowdown here whatsoever. And so you ask yourself, who are these politicians working for? Because every time they ramp this up, Canada has to go through a massive inflationary spike. I mean, I've shown you, you know, it'll take too long to find, but I've shown you repeated examples where you can't buy a house in Vancouver for under $2 million. What? I mean, what kid graduating high school right now could even conceive about going and buying a house and starting a family? I mean, it's impossible unless you got some sort of rich relative that are going to back you. But $2 million? So no, you can't live in the city of Vancouver. Sorry. Maybe you could go live out in the burbs somewhere, but you can't live in this third largest. And Toronto is just as bad, the largest city in Canada. So, I mean, if anything, this image right here, and I've told people this repeatedly, this image right here is the smoking gun that the Rothschilds actually control our society, because Canada should have never done this. We have no business doing this whatsoever. And our beloved leader is a substitute drama teacher who happens to have a trust fund because his old man was a political crony years ago. So he doesn't have to really worry about like actually making rent or anything like that. That kind of concept is completely beyond him. And he doesn't really have a big enough education base to even understand what the banksters are doing. And, I've said this repeatedly. I will say it again. I base my entire argument on this gentleman's work. And it's so sad because this gentleman has been sort of poo-pooed by the elite, the banking class. And frankly speaking, I'm surprised the banking class hasn't actually murdered him. Because keep in mind, I told you, when in the United States, there was somebody in the early 1980s that said, no, enough of this deficit spending, enough of this cronyism, enough of basically this stealing the wealth of the public. And that's exactly what Alan Greenspan called all of this, is basically confiscation of wealth. I'm surprised the banksters haven't actually assassinated him, because every time somebody actually gets relatively powerful in our society, mysteriously somebody decides to take a poke at him. Andrew Jackson, and it's interesting how the banksters have basically vilified Andrew Jackson as an evil American president, when actually he was the only one who actually held the banks to account. And I would actually make the argument that he was the man single-handedly who made the United States as wealthy as it was. Then Abraham Lincoln came along. He was not going to acquiesce to, oh, by the way, Andrew Jackson, they did take a poke at him, but they missed. Abraham Lincoln, they did take a poke at him. Obviously, know what happened to him. And actually, it's interesting. He did a video called The Wizard of Oz, which interesting enough is actually another, the whole Wizard of Oz play story, the whole thing was on a commentary of the banksters doing exactly the same thing that they're doing right now in our society, but 100 years ago. So point of the matter here is that I base my whole thesis on this, and I think he does excellent work, and I fully endorse his message. Sad part about it is when you try and talk to the public about this, they have no interest in this whatsoever, and it's completely beyond them. And as I said, anytime anybody, and the gentleman was Ronald Reagan, he in fact, I even tweeted out, there was a famous interview that he did on Johnny Carson's show when he was the governor of California, demanding that government stop spending money, and that, we have smaller government, we have less, no deficits, and stop spending money that you don't have government and hyperinflating our money supply. And like I said, they took a poke at him. Hey, interesting. Great Moody says there on Jackson's tombstone, it says, I killed the bank. So you're right. So, I mean, that's the high stakes game that we're playing here, folks. Make no mistake about it. This is pretty damn high stakes stuff. And if the Rothschilds need to knock a guy like me, because, the interesting thing is I noticed that I've been saying this same message now for years. And I noticed that it doesn't matter. We've got a whole team of guys who are trying to market this site. And I noticed that it's just, we can't seem to get the message out. Somebody is sitting on this message. They don't want this message to get out. Or maybe it's just that Brian smells. I don't know. One of the two. Okay, so back to our story. I'm not quite sure how I got off on that tangent. And by the way, it's Snowmageddon here in Vancouver. I think I showed you earlier. So I usually on Sundays go out and drive Liam around the Lower Mainland, but it's a mess out there right now. So won't be doing that today, so I can spend a little extra time with all of you here. Okay, so what the hell? How did I start this? I guess the whole point of showing you this was that 3 high-low method. Really good example. Had I been interested in this, and actually, you know what this looks to me like is a bot setup. So we could go boobity boo, bot setup levels. We want to see that the correction is at least 33%, but no more than 66%. So that, in essence, creates the potential for A to B and C to D continuation pattern, or paints basically a technical target back up in this area, which actually I kind of like. And actually, the whole reason why I started this conversation about an hour ago was that I had said that I actually like the idea of the market having a Santa Claus rally. In fact, I even put out a tweet, and of course, you know, Brian, typical Brian, Brian's usually right, but Brian's usually early. And in essence, same damn thing. So I put out a tweet, call me a cockeyed optimist, but I still believe in Santa, or at least a Santa Claus rally. And we had a show on Wednesday, and I had said that, well, you know, I'm seeing higher highs and higher lows, so I'm still a bull. Up here, our co-show host, Paul, was like, yeah, but I'm still shorting anyway. We're right up at the top end of the range, and I think the market's going to come off. And Paul was right. And I think I even put out a message to that effect. Nope, I didn't. It's somewhere in here. You know, for the record, Paul was correct. So I got the impression that we were going to pull back into Collins. This is one of our site OGs. He likes to call the range between Gann's 50% level and Ray Burchett's 38.2. I call that the first stop target in our education program. He likes to call it his pump chaser zone if you're chasing a bull market. Don't go and buy up here. Just wait for the 38.2 to 50% pullback. And if this still is a bull, then we should pivot and turn back up. But I think I was actually a little bit early. And you'll notice that that was at 17.5. And if we go back to our chart here, so that was in this area, actually, I beg your pardon, up in here. So there was one more leg that had to happen. And the worst part about it is that they might be setting up an FU move, because what I did notice here was if we go boom to boom, because that seems to be some sort of pivot right there. Then we clone that, and kind of like that A, B, C, D thinking, right? And we project that off of that counter trend rally high. That paints a bearish A, B, C, D objective down there. So unfortunately, this might all be a big setup to screw the kids. Don't be shocked if that happens, folks. But having said that, I got the impression, especially from things like the stock market, that where are we here? Wednesday's well, I guess a Thursday. I mean, Wednesday was the Fed. Then Thursday was usually the day that a lot of the options expiration business gets done. Where's the best place to show you? I guess this is it here. And then Friday usually is a quiet day. And this, what I mean by all this is, and I guess, that's the best place to show you. I've got one chart in particular. Well, you can see expiration. I have one chart in particular that I did up that had the Fed and all of that stuff on here, but I don't know where the hell it is. I guess Must have misplaced it. That's too bad. Darn. It's one of these. Oh, here it is. All right. So this is actually a really, really big event in the marketplace. This is what's called a quadruple witching. We should even type in here. Quadruple witching. So usually, and that's the third Friday of December, and the quad witchings, they happen 4 times a year, quad, right? So December, March, June, September. They're sort of like the big institutional quarterly expirations. Options, futures, indexes, options on indexes, whole bunch of stuff. So usually what happens, and actually this was kind of right on cue. I think that, here was our Fed day, this day here. There was the rally sort of pre-Fed. Remember, we had that funny inflation number. So this is a futures contract, but if you actually look at like the stock indexes, they actually like opened up right up at the top, like holy trap at, man. And Julian was even pointing this out in his offerings on the site, that smacked of a trap. And they also pulled the same trap. Remember I had said earlier, what's the power of key reversals? Well, what do you think? There's a big honking key reversal. And yeah, if I go back on the site, it will spit up if I go back to October and show you those signals. Was that a pretty good signal? Ooh-wee, I think so. So this level and this level were huge traps. So they opened up the market right down on its lows, even took out this low just by a hair. That's 287.04, 286.62. So in essence, they went after the stops and then straight up. Well, what do you think happened here? They opened it up here. They went after the stops and straight down, bastards. So this market is highly, highly manipulated, folks. Please understand that. A lot of people are coming to the investment landscape right now, and they don't understand that and actually you can't even see it there. If I go like, say, the diamonds, right? This is the Dow Jones Industrial ETF. We are technically in a bear market. The textbook definition of a bear is 20% correction from the peak. So there is the bear level. If you look at something like the S&P 500, you can even see now, even where we are right now, and the S&P 500 measures more of the broader economy. You can even see just even right now, we are down 20%. So we are technically in a bear market. And there is a rule in the stock market, and it just goes simple as this. In bull markets, everybody makes money. I mean, you see what, I mean, like I said, it is almost impossible to get me, not to get me, to get you all. I don't know where the hell I had it. Where did I have that? I thought I loaded it. Maybe it was this one. What did I do with it? Anyway, remember I was showing you earlier that the chart, here, oh, it's gone. Oh, well, I guess I put it away. Anyway, the Bitcoin chart with all of my writing and stuff like that. Don't buy up here, you crazy kids. I don't think it's these. What the heck did I do with it? It's not that. It's not that. It's not that. Oh well. Here, I guess we'll reload it. Okay. This one, right? Hey, there we are. Right? It's almost impossible to get me to get you guys not to buy up here. I mean, almost impossible. right? And of course, you hear the public, this time it's different, right? Blah, 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 blah. So in bull markets, everybody makes money. Woo, we're all getting rich, right? And then, of course, they all pile in up top. And then when we go into a bear market, the rule is nobody makes money. And unfortunately, this, in my opinion, this is a bear market, right? We even right now on the S&P 500, we're down a good 20%. So we are in bear market land. And by definition, if nobody makes money in bear markets, then that means that your price action is probably going to look exactly like what I just showed you. All right, let's screw the kids on the downside, right? And then we went after the stops, flush everybody out at the bottom. Screw everybody, especially trend followers, anybody who shorted pretty top, eh? Nice little empire top there, beautiful fractal. They do this one candle, wash out all the stops, and then straight down. That's just capitalism 101, folks. And it sucks because, the worst part about all of this is that Kevin O'Leary is a really good example of a sort of textbook capitalist. Do you think he gives a flying fuck about any of us? I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, you see the way that he acts on that Shark Tank show. I mean, frankly speaking, I'm disgusted by the way that he acts. He just literally wants to steal good ideas and lowball the bids to try and basically steal whoever the inventors of those cool ideas are. What he should be doing as a good philanthropist is say, well, the market rate for financing you should be like 40%, but because I'm a nice guy, I'll go at 20%. Because we want to encourage you guys to do well, I'm not going to try and steal the company from you. But that guy, he constantly is trying to steal companies from people and really good products and ideas. So that Kevin O'Leary, if you were going to put, in fact, actually, that's not a bad meme. I don't even really like even typing his name into the search thing. But if you were going to put like a meme on, that's probably a good image to use. Your friend and mine. If you were going to put a meme on this market state, and who's driving the bus in this market state, it's this guy. And that's a perfect analogy, right? Where he's just trying to steal your money. And he will try as hard as he possibly can. Absolutely. So, all right. So where the hell was I going with all of this? I actually think that this was entirely manufactured. I think everything here was stunningly cliche. The only thing that I really got wrong is, frankly speaking, I did not think that they would have the power to pull this fuck you. And it was a colossal FU move. Absolutely colossal. I really didn't think that that was even going to be possible. And then on the downside, I'm actually a little surprised at how violent all of this is. I didn't think it was going to go this bad. So here was my sort of original prognostication of how, number one, the Fed announcement, and we had a major warning sign. And again, if you have your journals out and you're trying to learn from all this and you're kind of like, okay, is there anything I can sort of remember? That's a good one, Cotter. If there's anything you can try and remember as sort of a tidbit, that's a good rule of thumb to remember, is if you ever see the market rallying into a Fed meeting and Fed announcement, notice how the market was up. And even on that Wednesday, right, there's the 13th, keep in mind this is a 4-hour chart. So there is the 14th, there is basically right as the Fed is doing their announcement. We had a fun little video that we did on the site. If they're pumping the market up into that Fed meeting, that is a major, major warning. If the market is up into the Fed meeting, expect the all hell to break loose on the other side. And How ironic. That's exactly what happened. Hell broke loose and violently, eh? I mean, you look at that. That top there, this is the Dow. The top there was 35, and they took it down here to 32. So 10% movement. Boosh. Just like that. And and the cool part about it is, as I said, Paul was on his game like a rock star. And he's kind of like, Brian, I don't feel too good up here. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we pulled up our indicators. Was there divergence heading into that event? Look at the momentum indicators on this big pop up here. They made no new highs. And what's worse is it looks like if we just put all this other stuff away, put that away, that away, that away, and we'll zoom that out. Yeah. So you can see, did this high make a new high? 24 and 25. Oh, so okay. Did make a little bit of a new high. Interesting how we just completely collapsed on the other side of that. We did our show up here, and I'm like, higher highs and higher lows. I'm a bull. Paul's like, I don't think so, Brian. And boom! Way to go, Paul. You rock star. So what I'm worried about here, like I said just a moment ago, is this going to be some sort of continuation? And what I'm kind of worried about here is, are they setting up all the little kids, like people like me, to get bitch slapped here? I could very easily see, and actually this is exactly what happened last week, was I had put out a tweet. Let's get rid of that doofus. Far back that was right here. I put out a tweet saying, coming into these trend lines, Collins pump chaser zone, we got a whole bunch of kilos. I like the idea of this thing trying to turn here. And you can see the market through that options expiry, right? And through the shenanigans, because that's what I think's going on right now, is it's pure shenanigans. They just rip this thing a new, what. This is options expiry day. And it's fascinating because, in essence, as soon as the options expiry day, Wall Street, was finished, you can see that basically everything stopped. Friday, December 16th, there, right in here, is the retail close for New York. Right in there. Ding, 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 ding. Business is finished. And notice how Bitcoin basically has done nothing since then. And you could make the argument that all they're going to do is all of this big flush late Friday afternoon, and then through the weekend. What did we hear? We heard that like Binance, the guy CZ, is basically under full blitz attack. It doesn't look like they broke Binance. I mean, it was an interesting tweet that I did out earlier. It might be an idea to go look at the chart. I think probably you could tell what's going to happen in crypto in the short term just by simply watching. The question is, where the hell did I put it? Give me a second. Oh, darn. Sometimes I end up losing stuff. I know I saved it. It's just the question is, where the hell did I save it? Actually, you know what? Maybe I can look at it through here. Load. BNB, here we are. This is probably the best analogy for us to use. So is Binance Coin BNB, is it going to follow the same fate as the FTX? I'm not going to say that Mr. CZ is out of the woods just yet. And of course, did they just sort of maybe cool their jets? I told you before, if Goldman Sachs wants to destroy you, I mean, here's a very politically incorrect statement. It's probably going to get me into a lot of trouble, but I hear a lot of people saying this these days. In fact, David Chappelle He said it perfectly. If a group of brothers are together and they're up to no good, they're called a gang, right? Oh, I can't remember what the other one was. If there's a group of I think it's Hispanics or something like that. They're thugs, and they're all working together in sort of organized crime sort of fashion. Um, then they get labeled a certain name. If a certain group, religious group, maybe we'll say, that happens to have their base on the eastern section of the Mediterranean, I don't think you need any more hints. If they are accused of colluding and working together and doing nefarious activities, you're not allowed to mention it. You all know what I'm talking about. We don't need to name names. It's pretty damn obvious. So I believe that they are at work right now, and they are the most important element to all of this. And of course, nobody is allowed to say the words that that are inside my mouth, but I'm not allowed to say it. And it's fascinating that we're even at a point in society, and this modern society, that there is actually groups that you are not allowed to mention, or they will destroy you. They might even murder you. Fascinating world we live in. And I do believe that they are the ones that are driving the bus right now. And it's interesting, of course, if I'm not mistaken, I think on the Sabbath, they're not allowed to do stuff. So, right? And Great Dale Moody says, well, also, if you want to know who rules you, it's who you are not allowed to criticize. Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing is it gets to the point where we all know who we're talking about here, right? So anyway, it is what it is. So if you want to sort of play by play, does crypto have to make a new leg lower? Does this Bitcoin, interesting now? Look how we came up against this top here, and now it's starting to stall out. Actually, what I wanted to show you earlier, which was kind of cool, but I don't know whether I can now, is I don't know what I did with it. Well, I guess it was here. So bot setups, 3366. So technically we could go A, B, C, D, and yep, that's the low. So that low there is 16,676. Actually, let's just undo that. And what do we got here? 16. Oh, not exactly correct. Oh, so many lines here, I can't even see. Something like that. 76, I think we said. Yeah. 75, 99, 76. There we go. All right. So we can put the bot levels on here. Bot trade. And then we can zoom out. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. So right now, actually, I don't really mind this idea. This would be, a perfect execution of this trade. This would be like front running the bot, where you can see there's the bot entry level 25. Interesting what they did. So there was actually the entry trade. And like I said, you'd be front running the bot, buying this breakout here. They ran it straight up to the 50% level. And according to bot rules, boom, if we hit 25, this is move stop to scratch. So ironically enough, hate to say it, but actually this bot setup was just put back on the back burner. It kind of sucks, but it is what it is. That sort of how do you say that? Like setup, system trading, you got to follow the rules. So we have, this is the move stop to scratch level. That is the scratch entry level. And that basically told you to get out of the trade. So you would have, if you front run the bot and you were kind of hoping that, this double bottom, maybe you weren't even fast enough to get that double bottom. We'll say you got in off of there, maybe risk against that low. You're looking for like a total home run trade. Maybe even like I showed you earlier, maybe you do it like partial trade. So you say, okay, well, first part of the trade, like 1/3, I'll take some profits at 2-to-1 off of the risk that I'm going to take. I'm going to buy this W, but I'm actually going to risk against the bot level. So that gives you all of these lows to defend your trade. And they might even break this and still you're good to go. And again, this is really coming down to comfortability, but the long and short of it here, W's are W's are W's, right? So if you took the 2-to-1, awesome, way to go. You got nice little fill. Maybe you sold the third of your position. Then on the second portion of that trade, we'll have our stop there. Maybe this one we were going to go for. Maybe this is the one where we were going to, a third of the trade, we were going to go for that actual bot objective. Nice 7-to-1 risk reward. If I'm a badass, lucky, really lucky. Really, there's the bot trade, 3-to-1 risk reward. It's fine. And if you had taken this basic bot 3-to-1, boom, you're long, move stop to scratch, boom, you got stopped out at scratch. That trade's over. It was a wash. Nothing happened there. I also like the idea that if you did front run the trade and you had moved stop to scratch, then this particular trade, you would have been stopped at scratch. But remember, we said we front run, so actually there's your profit. It's not much. It's there to there. And move stop to scratch, boom, you're gone. So maybe you took a little bit of profit at 2-to-1, and then the bot failed. So move stop to scratch, and you get out on the other part of it, and that worked out to like basically a 1-to-1. That's probably what I see right now, to be honest with you. It is what, 1:30. Usually what I see happens is I do these videos and then there is a check of whatever the trend is that I say coming out of the video. So I think that's what's going on right now. And I think, honestly, you see, I'm a bull, I'm a bear, I'm a bull, I'm a bear, I'm a bull. I got a funny feeling we're going to have another bear line drawn here, right? So this, I think, is still, the war is still very, very much alive and kicking. Thought it was interesting that this pop actually came on the Argentinians winning the World Cup. So congratulations, Argentina. Maybe that is a collective FU against the banking system, because keep in mind the banksters, the Argentinians were one of the few countries, like literally decades ago, that tried to tell the banksters to go screw themselves, and the banksters have basically just sat on them. Citigroup took a massive loss on money that they loaned Argentina, and basically Argentina has been blacklisted in the world economy since then. And of course, they always talk about how horrible Argentina is. Well, probably they're not really anything any different than anyone else. They just didn't want to be blackmailed by sort of the American corporate banking system. And it's interesting, through the Cold War, holy moly, I mean, the Americans have a lot of blood on their hands. They really do. Be interesting to see in the 21st century if, because clearly the United States of America has been knocked off its sort of high horse. Be interesting to see in the 21st century whether they actually get held to account. Plenty of stories of South and Central American, they call them dictators. I suppose the locals would call them liberators. Getting offed by, and they actually, I remember there was one story where this American banker diplomat guy would literally go into these South and Central American countries and just simply say, look, we're going to massively inflate your economy. There's not really much you can do about it. You either play ball or you're dead. And you know how a lot of those leaders actually ended up, which is so tragic. So as they say, the more things change, the more they stay exactly the same. So anyway, go figure. Okay, blah, 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 blah. Sure have talked a hell of a lot. I don't know whether you guys got any value out of that. I never did really see any questions that were asked. So this is a good opportunity just to rant mindlessly to all of you guys. Hope you enjoyed a big whack of the Beamish. Let's see. I know I had that Q&A document up here somewhere. Where did I put it? Is it up here? Did anybody actually ask any questions? No, very quiet. Today's class was liquidity events. So actually, I suppose that's not too laborious of a concept. So I went into the classroom and I asked how they were doing, and everybody's like, Grim's on a roll. So I guess Grim is kicking it. Grim's been doing this program now for a while. So I would imagine as we get further and further along, he's actually at the point where I can understand where he can actually answer most questions that are asked in class. Actually, somebody's asking over there on YouTube, thoughts on DXY and bullish divergences. Let's see, where would we? I mean, first place I would look is interesting top and bottom ETFs. The UUP is the US dollar bullish fund. It doesn't look like we have any structure to work with here yet. There's probably your bullish divergence. You can see how Willie's making higher lows, but the market price itself is making lower lows. If I understand correctly, Sjord's dying 1,000 deaths because he wants to see a weaker euro. So I suppose that's probably feeding into that a bit. I would have liked to have seen, no, it's awfully difficult, but I would have liked to have seen, maybe if I hit the refresh page, we could get just the DI reading. Maybe what I have to do is somehow clear the cache. How do I do that? I think that's like, is that F5? Something like that. Anyway, it would be nice to see the DI on this. Let's see, is that going to work? Nope. Darn. Oh well. Anyway, Stuart, if you are watching this later on, there's another thing we have to address. Can't show you it here. Not quite sure how I can show you that. I do like, something like the currencies. So if we look at the various different currency proxies, the Chinese yuan, of course, been bid up here on this sort of reopening. From what I understand, the actual cases of COVID now in China are just absolutely exploding now. So get ready, folks. We might find that the beginning of 2023 was kind of like the beginning of 2020. Wouldn't surprise me. And it's been basically, that'll be like 3 years since the last big sort of government bailout. Yeah, you might find that be enough for them to justify another big honking ridiculous bailout. Japanese yen probably also going to move in lockstep with that Chinese currency. It looks like that is starting to top out. You can see the double top that's forming there. So I would also want to look at the Australian dollar. Where's that? All right, there's the Australian dollar. Interesting to see whether that's going into divergence. These charts look awfully splotchy though, so they're not really that usable. Oh goodness, I can't believe how many errors there are on this. It's remarkable. Anyway, I suppose that's what happens when you build these websites. So if we went over to trading view, tried to get a sort of a view on the currencies there. These are the commodity currencies. So this is the Swiss franc should follow the gold price. Gold's in actually a seasonally friendly window. So actually, I don't mind that. Usually gold and rallies into sort of like early January, maybe even as late as early February. Oil usually bottoms out in sort of first or second week of February. The old cliche, the commodity cliche, is buy your unleaded the middle of February, sell it the middle of May. Made money 9 out of the past 10 years. You remember how Vladdy started his nonsense in February last year, and the oil price took off. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Swiss franc stays relatively firm here into the end of the year. And you can see there's February. So somewhere up in here, I would expect the Swiss franc to start topping out. That is actually what's called a rising wedge, which technically is a bearish chart formation. We look at the commodities, Canada, following the oil price, and of course, if gold is seasonally strong, then that means probably oil is seasonally weak right now. And as I said there a moment ago, you buy your oil the middle of February, not the middle of December. So it would make sense that this thing should work its way lower. And then Australia enjoyed a little bit of a respite. You might even argue Canada also enjoyed a bit of a respite here. So we bottomed there. Remember, the whole stock market pivoted back up. We had those key reversal levels, all that. It looks to me like those dead cat bounce. That dead cat bounce has ended for the Canadian dollar. And frankly speaking, I said this years ago, and I still believe this wholeheartedly. Canada is a short. Substitute drama. You do not want to invest in substitute drama teachers. They don't even know how to balance their own textbooks. Or textbooks? Checkbooks. Nice try, Brian. I guess teacher, that's what I got. Textbook on it. They don't know how to balance a textbook either. But they don't, when was the last time you heard of a substitute drama teacher actually being a good trader? I mean, come on. Everything is pointing negatively for the Canadian dollar. This guy has single-handedly destroyed our country's currency. I don't even know where the hell the bottom of this thing is when we actually do find a bottom. I might make an argument that by the end of this greed cycle, the Canadian dollar itself might not even exist. Because frankly speaking, it's basically worthless. Hell, they used to say, oh, it's not even worth the paper that it's printed on. They don't even put currency on paper anymore. It's fucking plastic. I mean, God, what an insult. And the thing is that I grew up in a world where we were supposed to believe in economics. We were supposed to believe that the Cold War was over. And it's like these goddamn bankster fuckers have literally gone and just turned history back one full century. And of course, this is exactly what the banksters want. No progress. Fuck the public. Business as usual. And of course, does a substitute drama teacher understand something like this conversation? It is beyond his skill set, completely beyond his skill set. Wow, now you get me. Hey, remember I said earlier, what can we say to get Brian triggered?
Yep, that was it. That was
I think
it.
I triggered myself.
Substitute drama teachers. Yep.
Substitute drama teachers. All right. Anyway, sorry to get all fucking flustered there. Now, what was the question? Oh yeah, currencies. All right. So we talked about the Swiss franc, right? So, given the gold market, I think that makes sense. Once that gold market rally is done, though, I would be thinking Swiss franc has to roll over. The Canadian dollar, you just heard my whole rant. And the worst part about it, right, is that Canada technically, in the world's eyes, is considered a commodity currency. And this son of a bitch is actually trying as hard as he possibly can to put every single commodity business in Canada out of business. He's killing the farmers with their whole nitrate shit, and you're not allowed to use fertilizer anymore. Give me a break. Obviously, he's killing the oil sands as much as he possibly can. He's trying to kill the province of Alberta. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on. So, as I said, he doesn't even understand that in the world's eyes, Canada is not an industrial nation. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Sadly, if we're starting to see that China is starting to buckle, and frankly speaking, I don't think that we're even anywhere close to the end of whatever the hell this correction in China actually looks like. I personally think that all this COVID and all this sickness talk is nothing more than a cover to try and get people to not pay attention to the fact that they literally stole trillions of dollars from Chinese citizens, but also from the globe through this whole Chinese real estate debacle. So unfortunately, countries like Australia, while China was doing this bubble, they were like, oh, we don't have recessions. We're just awesome. We're so great. We're the best society in the world. That's why we don't have recessions. But you tell me, I mean, and a spade is a spade is a spade. Are we making lower highs and lower lows? I think so. Should we at least go down and test this low at some point? I think so. So the dead cat bounce isn't over just yet. If anything, all they did was they rallied the Australian dollar right back into structural fail levels. This is a big M top level right into here. Right? Up, down, up, fail. And then up, down, fail. Up, down, up, fail. So all we've done is just rallied right back into that structural fail level. Probably it's going to look something like that. It might look like this head and shoulders like that. Notice that there's also that you can kind of see that was one where they made a higher high on the other side, bit of an anomaly. It might look like this, Point here is all I see are just lower highs and lower lows. Like I said, we had a little bit of a reprieve here. So that was good. I suppose, that's probably not a good place to buy Aussie dollars, but I would expect some sort of dip and test of these. If we go and W out there, then okay, maybe we got something to work with. But as it stands right now, I think that was a dead cat bounce. And sort of your US dollar coming off its torrid peak, that was a dead cat bounce going the other direction. All right, so there's your commodity currencies. Dead cat bounce, failing. Dead cat bounce, not failing yet, but making a ascending wedge, which technically is bearish. And dead cat bounce hasn't failed yet. Now we look at this sort of big global trading partners. Obviously that Australia is going to move closely with Japan, which is going to move closely with that Chinese currency. And we kind of remember this is a lower time frame chart. So if we go back to like a daily chart, actually that doesn't look too bad. It's interesting how we were looking a little bit bearish. I guess Friday's price action has perked up a little bit. You can see the original market structure top here in the Japanese yen was over here. So that's what they're playing with right now. We don't really have a breakdown per se, so I don't know whether the yen is actually an outright short. I think if anything, it's probably like we have to come back at some point against that support line. That's my hunch for whatever it's worth. So kind of a meh message. If anything, that almost looks like a megaphone. So we could see some pretty wild action in here out of the yen. I don't think it's like anything like, oh my God, the world is about to break one way or the other. That looks choppy. And then the euro, right? And of course, I mean, the tragedy of all of this is I believe that the powers that be would prefer that the United States of America get knocked off its high horse and it become almost like a balance story between the euro and the United States. And then I believe that they use Japanese yen as the anchor in Asia. So looking at this euro, you can kind of see that same rising wedge kind of idea that we talked about in the Swiss franc. So you can see that. So notice we're at 38.2s, and that's off of this range here. So, and also too, notice that we're coming into this market structure level. So that is a big M top, right? What are you supposed to think if we see the market smiling at us? And then we have this really well-defined trend line here, boom, boom, boom. And then kind of interesting, we had talked about this earlier. This is good old Collins, I guess in this case, dump chaser zone, where you don't really want to short down here because at any given point in time, Mr. Burchett tells us that we should expect a 38.2 bounce, right? Exactly what you see. Mr. Gann would say that, well, on balance, let's go like that, and then we'll go like that. We'll go like that. Mr. Gann would say on balance, any given point in time, you should see, oh, what's going on here? Oh, did something wrong. Style, there we go, sorry. Oh, it sure seems bright. Anyway, something like that. Mr. Burchett, Mr. Gann, Mr. Trendline, kiss from the other side. This might turn into a low to high trend line. That would make sense to me. Rising wedge. This to me says that we're coming into a resistance zone. Like, 3 reasons for a trade location. Somebody, you'd said there, you'd asked on YouTube, do we have signs of divergence? So I'm going to pop on over to this screen. And I'm going to ask if I have signs of divergence on my chart. And you can see that this happens to be a 4-hour chart. Let's maybe look at that daily. So there's our daily. You can see not quite confirmed yet here, right? It's waffling. Still a bit of buying pressure. This volume was 496. This volume 555. So volume impetus, level oneers, right? You should see that we just made a lower high in volume. So now for this to actually be a volume top, notice the sellers, this high was 430, this high was 458. So, if you're a bear, you want to see the sellers ramping up and making higher highs. So both camps kind of look like they're getting exhausted. The sellers did not break to new highs, but the buyers did not break to new highs either. The buyers clearly have the ball right now, right? The trend is up. So what we really need to see is we need to see the buyers fall asleep. And what that's going to be is, we're going to get another spiky volume bar, but there'll be less, right, than this high. And if you get 1, 2, 3 lower highs on these green buying bars, then you can start to see that the buyers are running out of steam. Then, and we already have a low volume bar here printed. If you get this kind of action where you got a whole bunch of days where they're lower volume bars, right? Kind of like what you see here, all those look super messy. And then we get a up day where the volume is actually lower than that bar right there. Then that actually becomes a volume impetus. The bulls have fallen asleep if we go through that low there. So still a lot of technical work needs to be done for this to actually say that it's exhausted. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something along the lines of, well, the war in Eastern Europe is going very badly and the economies are getting destroyed. And so the ECB is not going to raise rates as aggressively as the Americans, something like that. If the ECB keeps raising rates, then you might find that we just go sideways until one of the two schools balks. So not seeing any top here. Don't see any divergence here. Willie is stupid, so there's no way you can buy this thing. You're way too late. And if anything, if we look at Foggenbaum's, this beautiful double bottom down here, this probably tells you where we should expect resistance. So we go boom, 2.618, yeah, you don't want to be buying this. That's just stupidity. And if anything, what should happen here is one of two things. Either one, we go blasting through this 2.618 up to 4.669, which of course will make George shit his pants. I can't see that happening because I just don't see that the European economy is that strong. What I think should happen here, and it's kind of like, we've got this rising wedge. Let's see if, yeah, so we got this rising wedge. We know that rising wedges are by definition a bearish chart pattern. So something like that. You can see the rising wedge developing. Like so. But this has to break first. When it breaks, that will force the momentum indicators down. It will probably do things like cause RSI to top out. You can see that there is a potential divergence in Willie. You can see there is a potential divergence in MACD. Hasn't confirmed, but this kind of move would probably confirm all of those breakdowns. So you have to kind of wait for that. And the problem here is, I mean, if you just wanted to hit this, again, our conversation about location, whether it be 2.618, we'll use chaos theory to help us for trade location, or we'll do something like a reload zone against this previous range. You can see we're right up against 88.6s. I think you can say, Brian's 3 reasons for a trade. I think you can make the case that we have half decent trade location here right now. But that's it. We don't have any indicator confirmation yet. So we just have to wait for the divs to confirm. Then once the divs confirm, what usually happens is we then will have indicator confirmation, right? Confirmation, maybe a double top up here in OBV confirmation. Then we want to go and look for price structure. So at that point, then we want to wait for the counter trend rally and start hunting those M's to actually frame the short. Probably a lot along the lines of this. Notice how we went up, broke that, in essence, you can see that started the momentum breakdown. Then we had to come back up. Then notice there's a double top and there's the fail. So by the time we get to here, you actually do have double tops working, price structure to frame shorts, away you go. And I would say if it was sort of like you are here now, I think we're like right there, comparatively speaking. So that's the other side of the US dollar trade. What we should see if we look at the US dollar is we should see the exact opposite of this image. So let's go see. And we'll do the futures contract. All right, so anybody who actually had the balls to hit that M top, you're laughing. Also notice too, we've got a pretty well-defined 50% level. And it looks logical to me. I mean, look left. This is a key support line. So that makes sense. So as we had sort of said with the Swiss franc and the euro, because keep in mind, the euro is like, what, 35% of the US dollar index. And, if you throw the Swiss franc in there, throw the British pound, it probably looks familiar or similar. Can you see how that's the descending wedge? And we say that descending wedges are inherently bullish. And then we said that, well, that gold market will probably top sort of early January, which will be sort of in there. So I wouldn't be surprised. You also notice, I don't really like when divs look like this. I mean, yes, you can make the argument that, well, we're sort of divving out kind of something along those lines, and that's your big div. Oops, say there to there. But I don't like when the divs look like this. That's bothersome. If anything, I look at this, and yeah, it is higher high, but I feel very confident, and over the years, it always seems to happen. We got to go down and test this low. So what ends up happening, and I've talked to people about this on the site, Usually these rallies last in 4s, 8s, 12s, and 16s. So if we just start counting off the bottom, how many bars is it until we actually get a bull structure? So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6, 7, 8. So 4s, 8s, 12s. So it took 8 bars to actually issue a double bottom breakout buy signal. Then we go 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 bars to now actually confirm this next signal. It's getting pretty old, right? We're at 19 bars now. Could we maybe use like 4, 8s, and 12s going the other direction? Notice off of this peak, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do we maybe start rolling over here? And maybe 5, 6, 7, and then 8, we actually break down. It just looks to me like this move is getting awfully long in the tooth. You can also make the argument too, and we'll watch how this goes. You might actually, yeah. So notice this, well, no, actually that's not true. So this is just going to be maybe nothing more than a double top. But notice that this MACD, right, this high is lower than this high. So the price itself is lower than this high. So there's no divergence there. What I would just simply say is I do like the idea of that swish kind of low, making that descending wedge, hitting the 50, you could argue, just as we talked about with Colin pump chaser zones and dump chaser zones, well, same logic here. So, Colin, all his crew, if they were trading US dollars, I don't know whether they would be or not, but there is Colin and his dump chaser crew. Actually, this would be pump chaser, right? So if you're a US dollar bull, don't go and buy up here. Wait for Colin's pump chaser zone, Mr. Burchett, first stop target. You got to expect that to happen. Mr. WD Gann, 50% levels are basically Mother Nature and what should happen. And so that's basically playing out. I don't really like the look of these divs. In fact, I wouldn't call that a div. Looks like volume made lower lows. It's trying to turn back up here. If anything, this is a good volume impetus conversation. So as I had said there a moment ago, you can kind of see how high, lower high, like down in these, that's the lowest low right there. Then lower high. Then notice this selling bar here, much, much lower than these highs. So now if we get a selling day that's lower than that candle right there, that becomes a volume impetus sell signal, or in essence, oh, wait a minute. Volume impetus bears have gone to sleep. Not a sell signal, beg your pardon, right? Volume impetus bears have gone to sleep. And that would basically imply that this trend down in OBV is running out of steam. It would then be incumbent on the bulls, and you can see higher low, or excuse me, higher high, higher high. So the bulls are trying to wake up. It would be incumbent on them if the bears do go to sleep and we do get a red bar down below this level here, right? And this is all red in here. It would be incumbent on the bulls at that point to print a higher green bar, right? Say up into there. And if that's the case, then then we do have a volume impetus buy signal. And my hunch is if that does happen, keep in mind this is red, this is green, so sorry for the one color. But if that does happen, then we're probably going to see a W and OBV and we start rallying. So in a weird sort of way, I like your question. I think you're definitely in the right neighborhood. I think you're a bit early. That's the way that I would look at this from a guy who's usually early. So that means you're super early. My hunch also too is, remember, a lot of these banksters and these international organizations, they actually operate on annual bases. And I remember a couple years ago, especially through that 2021 peak, in the whole fear fucking insanity. And remember the insurrection. Actually, I guess it was 2020, that year's peak. Powell, he said in a press conference, which really resonated with me. He said, we just got to get through year end. We just got to get through year end. We just got to get through year end. He kept saying it over and over and over. So you just have to understand that clearly this, and we might even want to just put this on like a yearly price chart. This currency game is a lot to do with where these, we could use a polite term, central planners, big brother, the smart money. Ooh, that's a terrible one to use. But all those people, what's their agenda for year end? What do they need to see on the prices, so that when they produce their reports at the end of the year, what the hell is the euro? They always keep changing these damn. It's probably like E6 now or something like that. Oh yeah, there it is, 6E. All right. Anyway, all right. So there's the euro. Maybe we'll do the British pound, because keep in mind, I think the British pound is actually the number one currency that the Rothschilds used to manipulate all this. Remember, that was the first central bank that they officially took over back in the days of Napoleon. And now, of course, they've got a nice little puppet in the king, who's like, I mean, God, he's worse than substitute drama teachers. Does Charlie actually have a university degree? No wonder. I don't know whether he actually went to university or not. Do any of the royals, do any of them actually have university degrees? That's a good question. I know one of the royals seems to, isn't that interesting how all of a sudden in our society, nobody's talking about Epstein anymore? And the fact that basically that royal guy was, they literally had him by the short and curlies, right? Oh, well. Anyway, 6B, all right, so there's that. And then, so this would be sort of the European. What is the plan for what they have to do? And Jesus, these symbols are so fucking hard to find. There it is, 6S. Why the fuck do they have it as 6S? Okay, so where do they need these things to go out? Hey, look at that. XS20.fun says my private photos here. Should we show the message from XX20.fun that maybe they have private photos that we'd love to see? What do you think, guys?
Jesus, I like looked away and then I looked back and those showed up. So I didn't even see those pop up.
Well, just the question is, why don't we do a poll? There's 45 people watching the video. Hey, look at that. We got $20 in donations. And that's really sweet of you guys. Thank you so much. I don't know who did the donations, but wow, that's kind of cool. But what do you think, everybody? Should we go and look at XXX20.fun's private photos? What do you think? Do you think they're actually the photos of this person?
You'll probably get a virus. I wouldn't do it.
All right, I think we'll just hit the hide button. That is a polite, you are a loser. Why do you keep coming to my site and screwing up our wonderful karmic experience? We will hide you from the channel. So XX20.fun, you no longer exist. Of course, you will come back as XX21.fun, won't you? You cocksucking son of a bitch. But I shouldn't say that because then now I just totally demonetized the video, didn't
No
I?
alerts yet, so I think we're still good.
All right. Great says Paul donated. Well, Paul, fucking that guy's loaded, eh? Just swimming in money. Oh yeah, look at that. 50 Rons. What's a Ron? I guess a Ron's about 20. Oh, look at Josh. Josh stepped up with a $10 donate. Gee whiz. So we got Rons and we got Sharks. All right. Thank you, Rons. I guess Ron's, about $10. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay, where was I? Are you guys enjoying this or am I wasting everybody's time? Hey, Brian, can you check the beginnings of a bot setup on BTC I posted in the lounge? Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. Lounge. What about this possible bot? Oh, yeah, you're really early on this one. Let's finish this US dollar conversation and then I'll circle back here, okay? So my apologies, I'm just sort of having fun with you guys. So does it not seem to all of you, because it seems like it to me, that the powers that be don't really want this British pound sort of lower than this 120 kind of level? They don't want this euro below this sort of 106 level, maybe? I don't know, that's a tough one. And Swiss franc, but I don't think there's a problem with that. They do not want it below that 97 level. That's what I see there. And you can see at one point there a month or two ago, we were going absolute ape poop. I mean, the interesting thing is when you look at it from this perspective, actually, it's pretty easy to tell exactly where they're going to take this thing, eh? I don't know whether you can, Chris, what kind of formation do you think I'm thinking here?
Sorry about that. I was fumbling with the microphones. Which pattern are we looking at? I can not.
All of them. They all actually look identical. Well, maybe not the Swiss franc.
Is that the CFU we're talking about?
Nah, I would just say A to B, C to D.
That also makes sense.
Which really shouldn't be a surprise because notice that's the high from 2001. So I get the impression that that's our ultimate destination for the US dollar. And just here, the dollar index, just here in the short term. I would probably also do exactly the same going the other direction on the euro. So A to B and C to D. So that's down here at 67. So, Stuart, if you're watching us, don't get too stressed. Don't go and just panic buy all your euros because you think the market's going up. I don't think there's a huge hurry here. Now, for fun, let's throw in the Asian currencies. Let's see what the hell they look like. So let's throw in Japanese yen. Of course, what the hell is the damn symbol? J6? Nope. 6J. Hey, there it is. How do they come up with that? Yes, well, the Japanese yen should be 6J. Okay, something weird happened there. Euro? Oh, yeah. Okay, sorry. Okay, let's try that again. 6J, one exclamation mark. Nope, that's not it. Jason. Okay, this is screwing up with me. Let's try this again. Yen. J6. Isn't that funny? Look at that. And J7. I mean, which one is it? Is it J7 or 6J? I mean, how screwy is that, eh? Anyway. Japanese yen. Wow, look at this. Oh, what chart pattern is this? Where's that David O guy?
That one I know. That's definitely a head and shoulders.
Isn't that incredible? Wow. So remember, folks, and not a bad opportunity. 2 hours, or what is it? Is it 3 hours now? How long has this video been here today? I don't know. But what was I gonna say?
We're currently 3 hours and 15 minutes in.
3 hours. Now, am I doing us just no benefit? Just keep blabbing away
I
here.
mean, you've got participation on YouTube. I think there's value being given here.
Okay, cool. What I wanted to show you guys was maybe I'll do it. Okay, do it there. Do 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 do. Where do I want to go? I want to go to the library, and I want to go to the blog. Sure would be nice if there was a nice little blog link right in here. Hint, 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 hint. Oh, all right. And I wanted to show you, what was it? I wanted to show you something about the blog. Oh, no, it's not a blog. I wanted to show you the merch store. Where's the merch store? Do we have that? Maybe in here? Swag shop, that's what we call it. Look at that handsome couple. Oh, you guys are so cute. This image, right? I showed you, I've got my journal right here. That's what this is. You can have this right in front of you so you can see this image, although it's sideways. I had a great stocking stuffer. I don't know whether you can have it delivered by Christmas. Anyway, shameless plug. Do we have it also? I don't know whether we have it on any other thing. We should have it like on a mouse pad or something. If I'm not mistaken. I thought we had mouse pads. This is such a cool sheet. It's not the Benner cycle, but man, that's basically our whole TA course all in one mouse pad. Isn't that cool? All right, this is what I want to show you. There you go. So you can have a mouse pad, you can have it sitting right in front of you, and you can see 2023. Is that supposed to be an up year or a down year? Down. What is the US? Does the US dollar index like to rally? And in down risk markets? The answer is yes. What did the US dollar index do during the Volcker war on inflation? It's pretty ugly. So anyway, ironically enough, what's the one way that Japan gets out of economic trouble? Because clearly the locals have absolutely no interest whatsoever in participating. Because keep in mind, everybody should understand that the Rothschilds basically own the Bank of Japan, right? So we should all be well aware of that. Don't kid yourself. So point here is that looks very, very bad. But at the same time, too, this is a yearly chart. So where do the Rothschilds want this yen to finish the end of the year? And I get the impression that they would prefer that the yen not go out below that key support level. I might also make the argument now going forward, kind of like the European currencies, A to B, C to D. I mean, this thing's got a long way to go to the downside. But this counter trend rally and the recent sell-off in the US dollar. Thank you, Cheryl. Oh, I love you. Hugs and kisses. I think this is more where the 1% don't want this year, because keep in mind, lots of portfolios and crap are marked to market on an annual basis. So ending the year, I think they would prefer that this be a bit higher. But you can clearly see what the direction is. I mean, it's not up. Don't kid yourself. And maybe we look at like the Australian dollar. How's it going down there? Is it A6? Is it 6A? Oh, it's 6A. Drives you crazy. Keep in mind, when I started in this business, Australian dollar Australian dollar symbol was AD. So not even remotely similar to what it is now. So, all right. So what do we see here? Australian dollar. Would you be bullish or bearish of something like this? And if anything, this doesn't look too bad. At least you got some key support here. Not like that yen, eh? The yen just looks like it's about to fall apart. Floating around the bottom end of its range. But still, where do you think that they want this thing to go out? Do you think, if anything, it's kind of interesting? Notice that this particular year, this 2020, they actually started the year down here. They went all the way down here and then they ripped it back up, right, to finish way up top there. Then it rolled over, came down, finished a little bit off its lows, then a little bit of backfilling, then down again deeply, but coming off its lows. So it feels as though, lower highs and lower lows. You could probably even do something like A to B, C to D. So if anything, this almost looks like it's botting out here. So when we get to your question about bot there, Richard, we can compare notes. So something like this would be there to there. Do we have 33, but no more than 66? So we could go, boom, 33. No, it looks like we hit that. And we can clone that, take that off of that high, go 25, bot trade. There we go. So you can see, interesting where they want to be short. Notice, look at all these clotheslines all right around that area. So I think that the short signal, if anything, this is a nice 3-bar fractal that could potentially fire. That sell signal doesn't come in till going through there. But I actually think, sort of up, down, up, fail. I kind of like the fact that we went through this doji low. That's probably the key level. And they're probably going to finish the year right around that doji low level. So we open up, beep, and do we just continue working our way down? It wouldn't surprise me. Is this developed enough to actually take a trade off of? What I would want to do is go down to something like just even like a daily chart and just see what the hell this looked like. So there's the move, A to B. You can see we could crisp this up a little bit. And then C to D, boom, 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 boom. So short entry, move stop to scratch, right back to entry. So want to hunt it again. 1 high, 2 highs. There's that bot level again, 3 highs. You want to hit it again here, right? Move stop to a scratch will be at the 50 line, risking basically against these highs still. So I think this is still working. And then, trends and trend lines and W's on other sides of trend lines. This thing I would say would probably be a transition from a bear back into a bull. If we can come back up here, get on the other side of that, and then start to work our way back up. I don't see that anywhere on the horizon here, but we'll see. Like right now, I would call that a dead cat bounce. Is that too early, too short here? I think so. Kind of like, we were looking at all those other names. And I mean, interestingly enough, I think I make the argument that the Australian dollar actually looks the best out of all of these, believe it or not. And then on an annual basis, this is still kind of just trapped in a range. Versus like the Japanese yen actually has like an outright head and shoulders working. So the only other sort of finish to this, and maybe we can, I'll add it in just for shits and giggles. Why don't we put, let's move that chart forward to there. Then we'll move that chart forward to there. Okay. Oh, so we do have the British pound there. So just for fun, let's put on the Canadian dollar just for kicks. D6, no, 6D, no, 6C, Canadian dollar, 6C. Okay. What do we got happening here? So this is your annual. Again, what would the Rothschilds want? And it looks to me like they like that level there. They probably don't really want the Canadian dollar to start trending hard down. I might make the argument that this thing actually went A to B and then E to D. So it hit that objective. And now, since this is a double top, right? What are we supposed to think if we see the market smiling at us? The question really is, does this become a bot fail? If it does, then it's A to B and C to D, which will take us down into that level. So you can kind of imagine that, you know, the plan for 2021 was the market was kind of uppy. I mean, it did have a nice rally, but they wanted it to finish basically at candle body lows or highs, right? I might make the argument, same thing here. Market's downy, but they probably want it to finish in this range here. And then the resolution of this range will set up our next trade. You know, if we change this to a clothesline basis, right? So you can really see what the plan is. You can see pretty little M top up there, set up that short. Is this a new M that's come in? We want to see, do they close the year below this level? That level is 73.51. We're right now 73.11. So if they actually finish the year down below this level, then I think right out of the gate, you're going to see selling in the Canadian dollar to start the year. So yeah, hopefully that gives you a pretty, and a little bit, you know, probably people in the public don't really talk too much about this. But I get the impression that half of the reason why you're seeing this pullback here is they actually have very specific levels that they want these currencies to actually close at. And I guess we have one more. Let's do the Mexican peso, because that would be another North American. What the hell would that be? 6M maybe? Hey, there we go. All right, let's see what he looks like. So on the annual basis, gee whiz, holy train wreck, Batman. Again, why are they finishing it right here? Kind of looks like this is, you know, cluster wise. This looks like a very agreeable place. Actually, I don't mind the Mexican peso. I don't like the fact that it made a new low like that, though. And lower highs and lower lows. I guess the question ultimately is, have we finished the washout here? Remember Billy Gates back in 2021, he was saying that he was going aggressively long Mexico. So interesting how we're basically sitting right at that AB equals CD objective. I don't know whether there's really enough of a reason to justify being bullish just because Mr. Gates likes something. Probably W's on other sides of these trend lines would be apt. But again, you know, let's watch how they act right out of the gate. We might find that this trend line actually represents so much resistance that it just pukes out right out of the gate. Tough to say. But I think one of the main reasons why they're bringing these currencies back is they want them to finish the year at very specific levels. All right, so that's the currency talk. Hope that helps. I don't know whether it does or not. Hey, there's Marat. Marat, you and I are supposed to meet. So, Marat, if you're watching this, reach out to me. I suppose maybe we can meet after Christmas. I don't know. And review your level 2 work. Okay, so somebody asked me while I was blabbing away about the currencies there, what I thought about the Bitcoin Tether market, and is this a bull ABCD? I guess the first thing that I would say is it meets the criteria of at least 33, but no more than 66. It does have a W bottom working. As long as we don't go through this 66, I would say the bot is alive. Does that mean that we're headed up here? Not at all. It's incumbent now of this market, and probably that's along the lines of my funny little trade here. Oh, nice. We would like to see this thing now start to make higher highs and higher lows, right? If anything, that conversation that I had with you guys about 2 hours ago about, I don't know where the hell it is. I probably put the chart away. The 3 high low method. I don't know what I've done with it. Fudge. No, it's gone. Anyway, we'll just work off of this one. 3 high low method. Well, you're going to want to see on your chart. What the hell? This just didn't do anyone. And I would actually prefer to use something like stamp. I hate to say it, folks, but I definitely remember my talk about the ethnic group that we are not allowed to talk about. Is it a conspiracy? I have no idea. Is it a coincidence? Probably, honestly, probably a coincidence. But we know that a certain firm would like to very much own the world. And to all intents and purposes, they own the US government. You just go and look who's appointed director of the US Treasury or the money department of the US government for basically the past 30, 40 years. Nothing's changing. It's business as usual, and it's exactly the same every damn time. So I would be very, very careful. I know, like we do the Wednesday show, and everything we do is priced in Tether versus USD. But I'm telling you, and it's just my gut feeling, be very, very careful about this Tether thing. I'd be curious to see whether Paul, you're over there on the YouTube page. You gave us a whole bunch of Rons. You awesome dude, you. Are you getting at all nervous about Binance and about Tether and, valuing all of your trades in Tethers? I that's a question. That's not a you should be or you shouldn't. That's a question. Are you? And I don't know what the answer to that is. I'll tell you, if there was an Achilles heel in this space that's still floating up there, I don't think it's Bitcoin, but I definitely think this Tether could be trouble. So back to is this a bullish bot? I would be very, very careful about, just blind faith in Tether and valuing assets in Tethers. All right, now your 6-hour chart, I guess what I'm seeing is it's in the context of this bottom. So I think Richard drew from sort of here to here. And there to there. So as we said there a moment ago, we can say that the bot setup is alive, right? We've done a big one-way move. We've done a correction. We've gone at least 33, Colin and all his crew, they're now paying attention. We have not gone beyond 66. If we do go beyond 66 and we break down here, then clearly the bot is off the table. The only problem with this, and really, if anything, what I'm kind of thinking here is that this setup is contained within bigger sort of conversations. So you probably, you probably heard me say on Wednesday's show, and it's interesting how versus dollar, we did go to new lows, but versus USDT and something like Binance, isn't that interesting? We did go to new lows there as well. Isn't that interesting? What market is it that I was looking at that actually showed that we didn't go to new lows? Oh, I'm confused now. Okay. Aside from whether these actually are lower lows, it does look like a lower low to me. I actually, just eyeballing this kind of looks like one of David O's inverted head and shoulders. And I think you would call this like an Adam and an Eve. So there, and I don't know where we go. Do we go off of that high? That's a tough one. And is that the breakout? This is where, a lot of technical analysis is more art than it is science because it's obviously open to a lot of interpretation. So, there is this pattern that's potentially developing. Let's go back to that stamp chart because, like I said, I would prefer using stamp because I think it's sort of as here's something to piss the Muslims off because, of course, I always like to piss as many people off as possible. I would say that, like JC, stamp is the cleanest of profits. Who said that? Actually, it'd be interesting if anybody of you are historians. Who said that Jesus Christ was the cleanest of the prophets? And I like that expression. That's such a very typical sort of Muslim kind of expression, the cleanest of the prophets. Anyway, there's your Adam, and then your Eve is kind of over here kind of thing. But that's not really a good use of that. So there, to there, to there. So is your Eve a full-blown inverted head and shoulders? We would actually call this in our group, we would call this Adam and then Steve. And maybe we put like there and then like that. Pre-op trans Steve. There you go. I like that great Delvini. Yeah, you picked up on our little expressions nicely. So there's a bunch of stuff going on here. If this is actually a valid head and shoulders, the only problem with this thinking is this dump that goes through these lows, basically, bye-bye head and shoulders, poof, gone. So that's a tough one. Would you say that this is actually, and really we could even go there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there, to there. Is that your head and shoulders? Or, Adam and Steve? I'm not quite sure. Something like that. That might be doable. Obviously open to interpretation. But then the problem with that is, have we actually already finished this, right? Because you go to the head, to the neckline, clone that, and then above, that takes us up to there. And was that Paul's killer? I'm going to cover my longs here, and I'm going to go short on this head and shoulders neckline or objective. And that's got Paul written all over it. Wicks and tails like to be eaten, and he's trading like a boss, Nubits? What's that? Don't get me started. Is Nubits still around? I think they're toast. That you're showing your age there, Shark Toshi. Most of the kids have no idea what the hell Nubits is. So there's a bunch of interpretations going on here. One thing I would definitely say is wicks and tails like to be eaten. Can you tell how they, it looks like there's a ton of trapped bulls right up in that wick right there. There was a whole bunch of people that said, hey, that Beamish guy says inside bars are bullish, so I'm going to buy. We're going to the moon. And they just had their hearts ripped out from underneath them. So in a weird sort of way, I wouldn't be surprised if we have to go back up there and at least maybe even just candle body highs for trade location, that doji right there. And that gives these people the opportunity. They were supposed to get out here. They never bothered, but they do get out now on counter trend rallies. Also, too, what do you think, statistically, how much of a correction could that be? Well, this is a reload short zone. So that would be sort of the lowest low back up to this high. And RLZ, boom, there we go. So, hey, we're starting to get, that Beamish guy, he loves that 78.6. He's always talking about how much he loves that fib. So we got candle wicks and tails like to be eaten, trapped bulls. You could make the argument that this is actually a pretty important structural level because we did actually M out here. And then we did like that little fuck you move that kind of trapped everybody. They're doing a lot of this. Remember, bull markets, everybody makes money. Bear markets, nobody makes money. So they run a whole bunch of stops, get everybody all bullish. Oh, we're going to the moon. And then they just rip their hearts out. So there's that. All right, now let's play connect the dots. So you had your potential bullish bot setup. There's the potential bullish bot's price objective. Would it be logical, candle body highs for trade location, that doji into the wick, would it be logical to look for a stab up into that area? Doesn't seem unlogical. Also, too, into the end of the year, right? We know that the Bitcoin futures contract, and we'll probably finish it on this. Remember, I had said, I, believe it or not, am thinking up here. I made that comment, that tweet right here. I was one stab too early. Remember, there is on the CME, there is the Bitcoin futures contracts. The heaviest open interest is at 18,000 on the puts. Remember, institutions write puts, so that's that level. And 1750s, which is that level. Call me crazy, right? Most people do, cockeyed optimist. I like the idea that by the 29th, we have worked our way back above that level, somewhere up in here. As I had said earlier, I'm a bit surprised that this dump went as deep as it did. I am a bit surprised. And I also think that there is the potential. Bull markets, everybody makes money. Bear markets, Goldman Sachs steals everybody's money, right? So there is the potential that they're setting us all up for a big FU event here, which sucks. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Unfortunately, as traders, you have to take the shots. I mean, you cannot not take the shot or you're not a trader. So I had inside bars reverse. I had a beautiful little inside bar reversal there. And I took that trade because, I'm a trader. It's what I do. Where the hell's my trade? There it is. You can see all my levels, right? I'll be selling here. I'll be selling here. I'll be selling here. It's what I do. And, somebody there just says BTC fake pumping. Well, what I would simply say is don't get into the business of predicting the future. If this is a valid setup. I've got, mountain man level. Here's our new mountain man icon, because for some reason TradingView decided to kill my M. So I can't do the M anymore, which I have no idea why. I mean, what are they, M racists or something? They don't like M's. So I can't give you my mountain man level. So from now on, we're going to call 61.8, we're going to call it the Romanian Mountain Moon Man level. Try and remember that. So I put out a tweet the other day that, this has got Paul written all over it. He loves trading the mountain man level. He loves it. So that's what we're going to call this from now on. And we'll give it, because I'll tell you, if there's one person in the world that I would buy a call option on, this Paul guy, he's going to be richer than all of us by time this is over. I mean, it's staggering how rich the guy's going to be. I mean, he's such a machine, and it's beautiful to watch him in action. So he is now officially our Romanian Mountain Moon Man. And there is his icon. So you can see 61.8. Well, you got to do what we got to do. And mysteriously, here comes big fat W's. Did I predict that this was going to happen? I didn't know this was going to fucking happen. It's just, oh, hey, there's our fun little market structure talk. Actually, interesting now that this has fired is we could actually start doing fog and bombs off of this, right? So here's my original W that I bought. Ironically enough, this is the reload zone. Interesting how they couldn't even bring the market back down into reload zones. So what I would say is we could do a fog and bomb off of this original W. So that what kind of upside objective is this? So boom. So a test of that high right in there makes perfect sense. And 4.669, yeah, kind of an arbitrary number, right in the middle of a no man's land kind of push. I do like this 2.618 because notice that that's against that high and it's also against those lows. So that's an interesting traffic area. And I wouldn't be surprised if they push this thing up into that 2.618. Notice that that will be a trend line tag, right? That will be against this horizontal support and resistance level right there, and this one there, and that one there. Oh. So you can see that's quite a cluster of levels in there. So I do like the idea that they push her up into here. We could also now do a fog and bomb off of this range, that low there, going up against whatever the highest high is. I think that's the highest high. Oh, what a coincidence. That's also in that area as well, and right up against that trend line. So I would say that, if somebody was asking me what's the odds, I would say the odds of us trading into that box right there are very, very high. Can we get all the way up into 2-to-1 profit objectives? I hope so, because I want to make some money. Am I going to predict that that's going to happen? I haven't got a fucking clue. I mean, you see the odds, you see, how often do W's work? They work about 60-70% of the time. How often do chaos levels get hit? I haven't really done a statistical study, but I would say more often than not. And ultimately, I'd love to see us go right back up and test this breakdown level here, which is what I think the plan was originally. Like I said, I had thought that we were going to bottom against here and then move up into that holiday weekend, Santa Claus rally, and probably finish the year right up in this 17-18 area, right up into that reload zone. That would make perfect sense to me. Now, could there be one more FU here, right? Just to screw us, who runs the show, all that bullshit? Yeah, maybe. And if that happens, then I get stopped out and shit happens and next trade in 10 minutes. So specifically, would I call this a bot setup that's working here? No, not yet. So just to answer your question, and we'll finish at this, Richard. What I'd want to see is a nice counter trend rally, probably, like we said, come up and kiss this trend line from the underside. So that would be there to there, right? So right up into here. Notice that that is the 25 level. Then we probably pull back, come back up again, then pull back, right? And just like we showed you on this image, if I can get 3 higher lows off of that level, then I can start, then I can start thinking about a trade. So maybe something along the lines of up we go. This is the 29th, right? So I actually think this probably happens faster than that. Maybe something like that. That would make more sense to me, something along those lines. So we got to let all of this develop first. All right. There you go. There's the 1 hour long answer. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it all at that. Sure hope you guys enjoyed that very long conversation. Thank you very much to Paul and to Shark Toshi for your contributions here today. I appreciate it. It's awfully nice of you. Didn't really have any questions to answer, but I hope you felt like you got some good value for your time spent with us today. Don't need to ask you for big karmic wishes for Liam because, as I said, it's Snowmageddon here in Vancouver. So literally, I'm just going to hang up and I'm probably just going to go veg on the couch and watch TV. Although Chris and I have to get ready for first thing in the morning. We have our opening range trade setup plan, rocking and rolling, and we're going to be busy trading futures a lot here over the next quarter or two. And actually, I'm really excited for that because, frankly speaking, I really want to get back into that business. And it's interesting because basically this will be a 10-year round trip circle. 10 years ago, I was a full-time futures prop trader. I got distracted by crypto. I knew crypto was going to rally hard into the fear cycle apex. I think that has now happened. The crypto story is now fully built out. So until that market actually settles down and starts to actually give us reasons to get back in, which I don't think there really are a heck of a lot of right now, sort of beating your head against that wall, forcing trade ideas. I mean, I'll start accumulating little old lady, but that doesn't really keep you busy on a day-to-day basis. So getting more active, getting back involved. Maybe I might even go and I mean, I've got my own personal futures account that's very comfortably funded, so I don't really need to do the prop firm route. But it might be fun just to be on Top Step with Chris, us taking the same setups day in, day out together and poking. And actually, Chris, you should be able to get to know Eddie now. So now that you're on the inside, maybe I should hop on with you in the calls on Top Step and we can both bug Eddie together. That would be fun. So
I think Eddie is the one that interviews the people that actually get funded, if I'm not mistaken. Is that Eddie Horn?
Yeah, Eddie Van Horn.
Yeah,
he's my old buddy.
Yeah. So I think he does the interviews for everyone that gets funded. So that's the goal. Once I get funded,
he
I'll have
probably
a
only
conversation.
talks to he probably only talks to the funded traders.
Right, yeah.
But he used to do this squawk radio for them basically all trading day. So he doesn't talk to, isn't it? Do they not have like a live chat room now through the day, through the trading day?
If they do, I'm not privy to it. I kind of just stick around TRI after Hoag's, market forecast essentially.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, here nor there. Hope you guys enjoyed all that. We've got the public shows on Wednesdays and Sundays now, which is pretty good value for all you YouTubers. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the little bell or hit the bell thing so you can so you can be notified when these shows actually get going. And I hope I've said something today that'll actually make a positive difference in your lives, and you feel like I'm making a positive difference in the world. So PMA for the win. All the best. The only thing left for Brian to say at this point is bye for now.